out when we call it. We ain't taking orders. We make the audit. This ain't safe space rap, this is open season. Let's go. They can't close the jar, we already broke the seal. Now the truth's out and it's looking real, real. Mic lit like a fuse and the beat's on blast. We don't kneel, we don't flinch, we don't move last. America first, no mask, no leash. We the voice in the static, the storm in the breach. It's the Jar Openers podcast, no chill, just heat. We don't do sheep, we don't repeat. They say stay quiet, we talk loud. Built for the storm, we don't back down. Yo, CNN crying, big tech spying. Career politicians still looting and lying. They sell the fear, we cut the wire. Cancel us, nah, we rise higher. Truth ain't dead, it's your shadow banned. But we bring receipts, they can't withstand. From the border to the bank, from the vote to the war, we expose every crack that they try to ignore. Jar openers cracking open the lies, pulling back curtains with red-pilled eyes. Trust the science, but can't define a woman. Orange man bad, that's the whole damn sermon. Vote blue, stay poor, hate your flag, blame your race. Nah, miss us with the rain. Close the jar, we already broke the seal. Now the truth's out and it's looking real, real. Mic lit like a fuse and the beat's on blast. We don't kneel, we don't flinch, we don't move last. America first, no mask, no leash. We the voice in the static, the storm in the breach. It's the Jar Openers podcast, no chill, just heat. We don't do sheep, we don't repeat. They say stay quiet, we talk loud. Built for the storm, we don't back down. It's not just a show, it's a battlefront live. Every mic is a mission and we thrive in the fight. They can't close the jar, we already broke the seal. Now the truth's out and it's looking real, real. Mic lit like a fuse and the beat's on blast. We don't kneel, we don't flinch, we don't move last. America first, no mask, no leash. We the voice in the static, the storm in the breach. It's the Jar Openers podcast, no chill, just heat. We don't do sheep, we don't repeat. They say stay quiet, we talk loud. Built for the storm, we don't back down. It's not just a show, it's a battlefront live. Every mic is a mission and we thrive in the fight.
What's up? What's up?
What is up? Jar Openers podcast special.
Okay. That was funny. I actually I was wondering what was going on with that intro. I thought that was just a song. That was actually a recorded past episode. It's like, why are all those chats going on the screen? How did I do that? Nobody's even saying anything. All right, I gotta turn this fan off. Give me 1 second. I can hear the feedback from the fan in my ears. It's gonna drive me insane. All right. Much better. What is up, everybody? Here, I got an idea. Let's just play an old one and act like it's the same live stream. No. What the hell's going on here? So yeah, I changed my setup a little bit. I moved the desk around. Got a new, not a new light, but I'm using a new light. And we'll see how this goes. But what's up, Wick Moto? What's up, TNT? Anybody else in chat? Say what's up. Let us know you're here. Yeah, it's a glitch in the Matrix, that's for sure. Blame Skynet. So yeah, tonight we're going to talk about... Let me pull up my my outline. Tonight we're going to talk about this Asmongold video, and we're going to play some of Tim Pool live stream from a few nights back, or last week actually. Kind of talking about the same subject and just kind of where I think all this AI could potentially lead to, and what what this means for, younger generations and even just the working class in America. Not even just the younger generations, but just the working class in general. But it also affects, over 40 and Gen Z, like almost like the most, right? So like if you're in your 30s, I guess apparently you're good, but that's just for now. What's up, Elmo? Happy birthday there, brother. He says, what, not worried about AI, I'm gonna watch our media and be too worried about finding John Connor. For real. You just got done watching Andrew make a Muslim glitch out. Oh, that's hilarious. How's it going, Ricky Lee? How was that? I don't watch Andrew as much as I'd like to be honest with you. I end up getting caught up watching either Chiefs review stuff because I just can't kick this NFL football habit, or at the same time, do I got chat up? Yeah, okay. Or I'm always just kind of looking ahead what I want to talk about and seeing what's going on with the news and stuff. But I do need to make more time to watch his stuff because I do appreciate what he does in his Christian perspective on stuff. You know what I mean? That's cool, Elmo. Well, we're all telling you happy birthday there, brother. I know you can't hear me, but I appreciate you for being here and stopping in for a minute. I hope you have a good evening with whatever you're doing. Hopefully you're having a good dinner or something like that. That'd be a good dinner or a good birthday for me. That's what I like to do. Go out to dinner with my wife and maybe a friend or two. Let's see. Although this year we did that concert. That was cool. But yeah, I appreciate you guys telling Elmo happy birthday, because I asked you guys to do that yesterday, and I tried to remember today. So glad we remembered. 56 in March. Well, you guys are old. No, I'm just teasing. Totally just teasing. But definitely in the unhireable class, according to what we're about to watch, which is crazy. Pretty crazy. So, couple big things happened today, of course. The House voted to release the Epstein files. There was one Republican. It's funny. I was actually watching D-Day Culbra stream live this afternoon as they were doing the vote. And there was a Republican that voted no. And he's like, oh, he's on the list. He had me cracking up. And then that no vote went away. And then a Democrat voted no, and then it went away. But then a Republican vote came back in the no category, and that one stayed. And that was what's his name here? Did I not? I didn't keep it. I can't remember his name. He's somebody that I actually have appreciated in the past. Keep wanting to say Chip Roy, but that's not who it was. The heck was that dude's name? Do you guys know? But the one vote was trending today. And the dude came out. I thought I saved his response. He basically said that the bill had issues in it before. And Clay Higgins, that's who it was. Clay Higgins. And he said that he had issues with the way that the bill was written before, and he stayed steadfast in that belief. But I don't know. I think we need to investigate Clay Higgins at this point, right? It was unanimous. Then the vote went into the Senate, which this is the most productive I've seen the House and Senate like in a long time. The House passed a bill, and then the Senate got right on it and also passed that bill. So now it's just up to Donald Trump to sign, and he said he will. So looks like they're going to be passing, or not passing, essentially, and what they're voting for was to release the Department of Justice's files on Epstein. So for the Department of Justice to release its files. So yeah. Good news in that field. AI opened your jars. So now there's no use for men. That's the one thing we had left, Captain Willie. What's up, Captain Willie? By the way, how you doing? Just me. Pretty sure if we piss on the server, I would have a bad day. Yeah, I might have a bad day too. On that other end, on the giving end, on that one as well. Maybe it's similar to like peeing on an electric fence. Can we all just agree it shouldn't literally take an act of Congress to have these records released? I mean, for real, considering everything that we know, everything that's out in the open at this point, I don't disagree. It's pretty funny. I think the Democrats might have shot themselves in the foot, metaphorically speaking. In this one, they were using this, Trump won't release the Epstein files. He's the boss, blah, blah, blah. All with the assumption, the framing of, because Trump's in it, right? And already since and not from the files, but we already know that there was the Congress lady, Stacey something, that was texting with Epstein during the Michael Cohen trial back in 2019, where he was basically leading her questions. And then there's been a bit of a development where Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries actually took campaign donations from Epstein, and you have to wonder, how far did those ties go? And that was after Epstein was convicted. Two blemishes on the Democrat side, and still nothing yet, and I don't anticipate any information linking Trump to any wrongdoing will come out from this, as per what the Democrats hoped for. But since they were pushing for this to be released for so long, there was no chance that they could vote no on releasing this information now, right? What kind of what would that look like if they all came out and pulled a 180 when it came to the vote? So they basically had to send it through, and it's about time. It's about time. I'm looking forward to watching what comes of these files. I don't anticipate, honestly, a whole lot. There's still going to be stuff that's redacted. One of the cop-outs that even Speaker Mike Johnson is using is that we're trying to protect the victims from further victimization, which I agree with. Some of these people are already out in the open because they have cases going on, public cases and things like that. But just redact their names. Just redact the names of the victims. It doesn't matter precisely who was victimized in this, more like as much as or at all relevant to who are the perpetrators of these crimes, right? Those are the people that we're more concerned about, or the bad guys, not the victims. You know what I mean? We know these victims exist, and so let's find out who those guys are and hold them accountable. Guys, gals, whatever. Your mom sent you a birthday card. It said, "Wish everyone had a son like you. Why should I be the only one that suffers?" That's really funny, Elmo. That's a good one. Watching the president today, I was reminded that we had a corpse for 4 years that would just smile and never take questions. 4 miserable years. That's right, Ricky Lee. He also would crap his pants at the same time, right? Total child, adult child that was being, frankly, Joe Biden was a victim of elderly abuse during his last 4 years of life. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want my grandpa to be treated like that. TNT says he didn't just accept money from Epstein. He actually asked Epstein for more. Hakeem Jeffries, that's hilarious. Wick says likely they can't make heads or tails of it and just need to start over. No way that shit ain't been scrubbed. And that's what I've kind of thought as well, is that the best information that we could get from this, the best hope that we can get anything, is basically to start from the ground up and go with tangible evidence and go from there. Because like you said, Bill Barr was the original person that had the Epstein files, the Epstein investigation in their hands, was coordinating it. And Bill Barr's dad was the guy that hired Jeffrey Epstein at Harvard. So deep ties from Bill Barr into Jeffrey Epstein on the very get-go. So who knows what he covered up, what he, oh, we got that, well, right into the paper shredder, then those shreds of paper go into the incinerator, right? We even heard about burn bags in the FBI that had some of these files and whatnot that Cash and Dan Bongino discovered. So yeah, it started with that, then it's in the hands of, who knows, under Biden, and then back to Trump at this point. But by then it's been 5-6 years, and what can we really trust? Elmo says can't stay because I'm out. Just wanted to say hi, like the video, make a comment, and help the show. Thank you so much, Elmo. I really appreciate you. I like having friends like you, and I hope your birthday goes well, if you can hear me. If not, I still hope your birthday goes well. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, enjoy your night. And I appreciate you for taking a little time out. I wouldn't want your grandpa sniffing kids. Well, that's true. That's true. Leave breadcrumbs so when AI turns against humanity, they might confuse Tyler with John Connor. Yeah. Well, when I was making that thumbnail, it reminded me of the movie that I want to watch, that I want to create with AI that turns John Connor into Neo from the Matrix. I need to watch that movie. Whether if I have to make it with the script that I've been working on once AI is good enough, or somebody else wants to make it, that's fine. I just got to see that movie. I think it'd be awesome. You know what I mean? Because, Terminator never really gave us that ending that John Connor was supposed to save humanity. And Neo essentially does save humanity in the Matrix, but he's the anomaly, the glitch in the system, right? And we don't really know where he came from, but it could be explained by John Connor on his deathbed having yet to save humanity and fulfill the prophecy. Somehow his conscious is transferred into a thumb drive because technology is just not quite there yet. The Matrix has just been built, and the humans don't have a way of breaking into it, you know what I mean, or incorporating with it or anything like that, right? But then as time progresses, they figure out how to plug themselves in, move in and out of it, and then all of a sudden they can take John Connor and that memory stick, that thumb drive, and it's a whole mission, right? You know what I mean? It's a whole movie out of it, and incorporate him into the Matrix. And then at the very end of that movie, basically, he wakes up as Neo from the dream, essentially, and that's where it starts, is where, or that's where it ends, is where the first Matrix movie begins. I think that would just be awesome. It needs to happen. And then you basically have the creation of Neo in this long legacy, and at the same time you have the prophecy of John Connor being fulfilled through the Matrix movies. Just think it'd be awesome. I want to watch it. Tyler will be our canary in the coal mine. If it goes after him, we know to shut it down. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. As long as you guys hit the like button, double check that you're subscribed, all that good stuff. I'll fall on that sword. About wood chippers all around, we just get new reps, just start fresh. Well, that concept is going to repeat itself throughout this episode once we get into these videos here in just a second, kind of letting some folks filter in and hit that like button and try to get more people in here, because this is an interesting conversation that we're going to get into tonight. But I was talking to my buddy about this the other day, and when I first met him, I've known him for almost 10 years, but when I first met him, he told me that he is an accelerationist, and I had no clue what that meant. I wasn't really like that heavy into politics. Like, I'd watched Rush and Limbaugh, and just had started watching Alex Jones, that type of scenario. And the way that he explained it to me kind of somewhat just the other day was, he's like, I reminded you that, this country, he likened to a house that's leaning and rotting apart, falling down essentially, but it hasn't fallen down. He's like, and I'm for, letting that building fall, even pushing that building and leaning into it so that it goes ahead and falls, because what sense is it, how expensive is it to, at what cost to actually fix it, right? And fix it properly. And so that was an interesting thing. He's a younger dude that, you know, some of this stuff that we're going to talk about also applies more to, because he just had his, you know, his baby just turned 1. He's a younger dude. I think he's in like 30, 31. But yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan whenever he joked about voting for Kamala this year, and I took it serious, and I got mad at him for a while, and he was like, dude, I was just joking. But yeah, that I get the concept of where they're coming from, at least by the way he explained it to me. I prefer to remodel. Well, you get paid more for remodeling, especially if you're the carpenter. But it also, like I was saying, that kind of goes to what Wickmoto said. Just get new reps, like fire them all at this point. But the problem is, at this point, like anybody that would be a potential replacement, they're just as bad, or maybe even worse if they're these, you know, AOC type progressives. Which I know we're saying fire her as well, but you know what I mean. TNT says, I get their point, but what America was is worth resurrecting. Yeah, totally. I kind of like it. I kind of compared it to just the current state of things. Let the building fall down and build on that same foundation. You know what I mean? That's kind of what, I don't know if that's what he meant by it, but that was the way that I interpreted it, where I was like, okay, well, that could work. You at least you rebuild on the same foundation, right? You can still use that and do it right this time. Do it with upgraded technology. Do it with you know, make sure that you don't cut the corners and let the water leaks in the process of building it. Essentially, that would be, you know, corrupted Democrats, non-Christian believing principles, things that basically have rotted our society. You know, I think you know, call that abortion, lots of things. I like forestry mulchers too. Process a lot of material really fast. They're able to chase. Yeah, those things are awesome. I was watching videos of those a while back, thinking, man, I wish I had one of those for behind the house. They got like a little skid loader, and just on the bucket, it's just a machine that just mulches and destroys everything, all the vines. It's hard to get through the woods down here in Florida. It's all thorny vines and swampy ground, and you know, just basically turns everything into mulch, fine powder, and it's good for the ground and everything like that too. You tried to make it, well, you know, just me, you, and TNT are basically on the on the YouTube, you know, whatever list. Don't like list. I don't know what the best description would be. All right, so we're gonna start tonight. I was trying to decide which one we should watch first, but I think we're gonna watch the Asmongold one, and then we'll get into this temple. And both videos are basically gonna take up the majority of the show, so I don't want to talk too much longer and go ahead and get them going. So let me cue these up here. I guess my dogs are outside the office. I keep hearing stuff. Oops, not that one. That one. All right, here we go. So let's make that full screen. We'll
Many people have realized this at this point,
dial
that
up the volume.
everybody is getting fired. Nobody's
Okay, so that volume okay?
Many people have realized this at this point, that everybody is getting fired, nobody's getting hired, and people are getting replaced with AI and robotics. Have you guys noticed that?
I got laid off today.
Ooh.
After 10 years.
I told you guys I was let go today after 20 years.
I keep getting job offers that are extremely lowered wages due to them knowing people are desperate.
Ooh.
I got laid off in May. It is now the end of October.
Wow.
Look at all these open tabs. The job hunt right now, you guys. If you got a job, just keep it.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Amazon recently announced their largest corporate layoff, cutting...
I think that there's a lot of people in these PR, marketing, and fake jobs at these companies, and the companies are starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, we don't need to pay this girl to come here and drink boba tea for 8 hours and then complain that somebody said something that made her mad. And they just fire her.
Dude, Ricky, Arsenal Prime, says I shouldn't have to search for your live. I open Rumble, it's showing a bunch of other live streams I'm sub to. You mean not sub to? I mean, if you're sub to them, that might be the case, but if you're not sub to them, that's what happens to me, man. The best thing is just to turn on notifications and hope that you get the notification, which I have my alt account, this World's Backyard on YouTube, and I refresh my home page trying to find the stream tonight multiple times. That way I can keep an eye on YouTube chat. And it didn't work. I ended up having to search my channel in the search. I had to look up Go Tyler TV in the search bar. It's crazy. It's unfortunate and disappointing, to be honest. But also I appreciate the repost there on X, Ricky Lee. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you. But here, let's get this video going.
Yeah.
14,000 employees, with executives hoping to eliminate 600,000 workers by 2033.
More than that.
When Amazon, the U.S.'s second largest employer, starts laying off employees, it gives cover to other CEOs.
Of course.
UPS announced 48,000 layoffs.
48,000? You know what's going to be funny? Is that if they can, it'll be 480,000, because soon the UPS will be completely automated with like machines that will take the different like little packages that you get, and they will deliver them to your door themselves.
The little packages.
YouTube is offering its employees voluntary exit packages.
Yep.
Chegg announced it was cutting 45% of its workforce. Target cut roughly 18...
Well, I mean, Chegg, obviously, because people don't have the... I mean, that was a book reselling place, and people don't use books anymore. Nobody knows how to read. 1,500
employees.
It's all digital.
GM cut roughly 1,700 employees.
Of course.
Meta, Rivian, Ford,
Absolutely.
the list goes on. And this is just for the month of October. It doesn't even cover the layoffs we've been experiencing throughout the year. But there's one layoff I want to highlight. Paramount. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned how David Ellison, son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, had purchased Paramount, further growing his media empire. Despite this open letter David sent to Paramount employees after taking over the company, claiming, "You are the heart of this company."
Well, a person needs a heart, but a company doesn't.
Paramount cut 1,000 employees, with that number expected to be 2,000 in coming weeks.
If companies like Google...
TNT says Asmongold is the only guy that can pick his nose live and still have 5 million subs. That's true. Oh, that's funny. He cracked me up when he's like, yeah. Like he's having the face-to-face conversation with these people when he's watching their videos. But I could have looked this video up. He did link it. And they're firing everyone and getting rich from it was the name of it. I could have found it, but I liked his commentary. He adds a couple things here that were worth including, so I chose to go this route. That wouldn't be an issue if we didn't have 30 million illegals taking jobs. I agree with that, Jay. The H-1B issue, amongst other things, right? And we've had those conversations with maybe Danielle before about how we have all these Indian people, you know, moving in here, getting CDL licenses, driving on the roads, you know, 60,000 pound vehicles that they're ultimately, you know, killing Americans in the process. So yeah, there's lots of different angles to this. But here, let's go ahead and let it rip.
Amazon and Meta are making billions. Why are they laying people off?
Oh, that's easy.
Because they're not contributing to the product and they're not valuable. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Greed. These billionaires don't care about us. They only care about showing growth to Wall Street every 3 months.
Yeah, why would they keep somebody on the payroll that they can fire? Of course.
Remember when property developer Tim Gurner said that unemployment needed to rise 40-50% to put us workers back in our place?
That's right. He just said it.
And we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer.
That's right. We got to put them in their place.
the other way around. There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them.
We got to shut this down immediately.
The dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is
Economic
trying to do.
Forum.
The governments around the world are trying to.
Here's what happened.
The World Economic Forum. This is crazy. We have to hurt the economy. We got to make it hurt for people, and then we can hire them for cheaper, I guess is what he's trying to say. It's insane. TNT says, I've done a total 180 on H-1B visas. Now I'm like, not one until no Americans are looking for work. I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. I believe that Americans can figure it out, and it starts from the ground up. It's going to be hard for people to start from the ground up, meaning that we need to reform the education system in the process. If people aren't, we can't have any illiterate kids graduating high school and college because they're good at sports anymore. That's just a start. That's one place that we can start. We can't have, this was going on when I was a kid in high school in the 90s. If you were an asshole kid to the teachers, they would pass you just so they didn't have to deal with you again. It was weird. It was like a microcosm of what's going on with society. If you're an asshole and you don't do anything for yourself and you don't want to participate and you just want to be a disruption, you somehow end up on SNAP and Medicaid and Social Security or whatever. You never do a damn thing for yourself or your own life. But anybody that's actually trying, you can still get an F and flunk out. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy. A semi show truck got wiped out by an illegal trucker from California that'll cost the company big. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, Wick, have you ever seen any of the shows where you have Maybe Danielle on? She goes by Maybe Danielle on X. If you're on X, I would highly recommend searching her. She has a really good perspective, and I'm actually going to try to get her on soon. I was hoping to get her on with the Native Patriot and even Tab that we see in chat sometimes, and Super Trucker. They have a lot of really good insight into what's going on with the H-1Bs, with the trucking industry, with these people getting CDL licenses paid for, the grants that they get, just the whole scenario. It's really, really messed up and and frankly, it's scary considering that these people are driving 18-wheelers on our roads. Just the different ways that they break the laws, start new companies, the tracking that they put, the numbers that they put on the side of the trucks, all that type of stuff is it's not on the up and up. It's pretty wild. Just me says, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and switch to all messages. I don't think you have to switch to all messages in this one, because I tried to, at least in the settings, make it default to, let me check and see if it did. Make it default to all messages. I was hoping that it would do it. But yeah, still, that's a good reminder. I've been trying to stay on top of that one. And I also, I made it to where you have to be a subscriber for an hour before you can come in here, and that should keep the crazies at bay, so we can stay on focus. Oh, what's up, Lola Marble? Homeschool education. Education is a government dumbed down. Oh, 100%, Lola. 100%. And welcome in. Good to see you. Good to see you. I say no more immigration, period. I'm for a moratorium, at least 4 years. Put it in the hands, make the decision the next president's, give him the opportunity to either continue it or cut it off and evaluate in 4 years. But yeah, we need to flood the market with American workers. And there was something today that Trump did. He had the Saudi Arabian leader, prince, whatever guy in the White House, and he got him to on the spot commit. He was already committing 600 million to the U.S. economy, and he got him on the spot to double that, which was cool. I looked into it, and the number one thing that they're researching and investing in is AI. So per this whole conversation that we're having tonight, it's almost counterproductive. It's unfortunate. And that was one of the first things that Trump did. I remember I was still in D.C. for his inauguration, and he was out there announcing trillions of dollars of investment from rich guys to develop AI. And I understand that AI is the new race to the moon. The first country that gets the best AI is going to accelerate that much faster than the next country, right? But at what cost? At what cost? But here, he was just saying how they need to make it hurt for the workers. And then let's get back to this video. What did Captain say? I missed it. Oh, as a property manager for a lodge in Alaska, I know that the H-1B visas are a huge incentive for the employer because no matching Social Security and Medicare. Interesting. Interesting. Because as an employer, you know, you pay somebody $10 an hour, but you're really paying out $15, $20 an hour to have that person as an employee with all the other stuff that goes into it. The FICA, the workman's comp, just all these other additions, tack-ons, right? That doesn't go to the actual worker. But yeah, that's a good point. Let our great grandkids decide on immigration. As of now, Christians only, if any. Yeah, I'd be all right with that, actually. I'd be all right with Christian refugees around the world coming here. Those people aren't saying death to America. I watched a video today of 2 little Muslim kids over in the Middle East basically chanting death to America, saying that American nuclear missiles aren't stronger than the spider web. And it's just like, dude, these kids are 5, 10, probably 10, 12 years old. Talk about indoctrination, radical indoctrination. We need to be on our toes. I did also see today that Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, made some kind of a decree against Muslim neighborhoods or something. I can't remember. I didn't look into it too deeply, but excuse me, I saw the headline. But yeah, I'd be fine with letting the grandkids decide on immigration. It's going to take that long for us to filter out the illegals that are already here and a bunch of other stuff as well.
Elon Musk took over Twitter, fired 80% of the staff, and nothing changed to the product. In fact, I think the product got better. Every single other business owner in the world saw that. Everybody saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's bot crazy now. YouTube is bot crazy too, but YouTube didn't fire 80% of its staff. So is Facebook. Facebook didn't fire 80% of its staff. It's still riddled with bots. Bots are everywhere on the internet. Twitch, not Twitch. Well, there's bots there too. Twitter is not unique.
Unemployment.
What isn't discussed enough is the shadow layoffs.
Right, and that's a super important point. Everybody was watching when Elon reduced the workforce by 80%, and they saw how the product got better, and Elon started making a lot more money. He went from charging, $100 for an annual subscription to $300, $3+ for an annual subscription, and gave us grok with it, and nobody batted an eyelash at paying that. Every blue check on X is paying $300 something annually into the product.
System. More companies are hiring part-time and contract workers as a means to cut costs. This means for the workers, no retirement plans, no healthcare benefits, and no severance package. The WARN Act doesn't require corporations in every state to report part-time or contract workers as part of their layoffs. This is why the layoff numbers might seem low, but if we account for all employment type, we've actually seen 13.8 million layoffs from January to August of this.
So 13 million people have been laid off in America? Isn't that probably 5% of the workforce? That's insane. How many people are in the U.S. workforce? 10%. Oh my God.
That's funny, TNT.
Here, laying off contractors or conducting performance-based exits doesn't make headlines, but accounts for up to 30% of this year's job losses. Amazon claims that they're laying off employees in an effort to operate like the world's largest startup. They claim they need to increase their efficiency. Yet in 2024, they generated $638 billion.
Well, that's not a good way to look at it. I don't agree with this way of looking at it. Do you want to make $640 billion or do you want to make $650 billion? Every single person, when it comes to their money, will want the company that they are invested into making $650 billion. The problem is that everybody is always very generous with other people's money, but whenever it comes to their own stocks, their own holdings, and their own ownership, well, suddenly now it's okay to cut costs. The reality is that these decisions are made in order to maximize shareholder value, and they are done in the best interest of those shareholders.
Right. And that's actually lawfully required of the CEO. I remember during the whole Bud Light debacle with Dylan Mulvaney that shareholders were calling for the firing of the Bud Light CEO because he was breaking the law, essentially not having the shareholders' best interest in mind because he was tanking the stock. It's a part of his job legally to protect the value of the stock. And that goes for, you know, all these CEOs of these big companies in this situation. Captain Willie Grimm says huge numbers of jobs added May through September. Now, that might be the one saving grace that Trump is ahead of the game on, that can fix or prevent the scenario that the rest of this is kind of pointing us towards, right? Which is the importation of production in our country. We're building these warehouses, these manufacturing facilities, and once they're up and running, that'll be a lot of jobs that we should be able to sustain as long as we keep the tariffs up, and as long as we don't let Democrats get in that start giving that start trying to regulate these companies back out of the country again, right? I think I even saw today that it was Toyota or one of those companies are going to start production of something here within the states again. Cows are vegetarian. That's what we were saying yesterday. Don't trans the beer. Yeah, I know, right? Cows are vegetarian and they're delicious. We were to bring in 20 million people and 13 million Americans get laid off. Let's think about this a moment. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's not the best and the brightest. There's no way you're bringing in 20 million people and it's the best and the brightest of these other countries. Now, it's one thing if you're bringing in these people that are, you know, the top 1% IQ, right, from these other countries. Then you're literally weakening your, you know, other countries that are in the races against you on like the world scale. But when you're just bringing in the poorest of these people, these refugees, and they all go straight to government programs, all because the Democrats want to use them for votes to win elections and steal power, that is not a recipe for success. That is a recipe for destruction over time, for sure.
A company should not exist for the purpose of providing welfare to the state or to the public. That is not a company's job. A company's job is to
trans beer, that's hard cider.
As a problem solver.
You're asking what I was drinking. I'm having a Yingling. Trans beer is like Mike's Hard Lemonade. Nah, that's just gay. I don't know. Do you remember the Mike's Hard Lemonade commercials? They always seemed a little funny, not funny, haha.
Device, right? It solves some sort of problem. It performs some task. It does something. It's a company's primary function is not to employ people. It's to provide a service.
Seems they're operating at pretty high efficiency. While most headlines are focused on...
Yeah, but wouldn't you want more efficiency?
Yeah, that's right.
Wouldn't you want more? Wouldn't you want them to be better?
AI, Amazon has...
Well, that's a good point, Lola. The DEI didn't earn it. People, they're proving they can't handle the job. Well, that's what they're looking at. It's like, well, this is our workforce. It's full of a bunch of DEI people that didn't earn it. They can't actually uphold the task. And what is the solution that the CEOs are coming to? Well, we need to automate this. Our workers suck. It's not hire capable people. It's just a spiral down the toilet bowl. Self-fulfilling prophecy that just leads to these robots doing all of the work, and then eventually fighting the war against the rebels that are the working class people that are making the choice at the time to live in the pod and eat the bugs, own nothing, and be happy or not. their best is subpar by third world standard. We don't need more idiots. That's true too. You know, when I say their best, like I think of like the rocket scientists that we stole from Germany back in the 40s, right? You know, those type of minds that were able to literally develop new technology. But you're right. I mean, there's not a whole lot of those folks left on the planet, to be honest. And if they are, they came to the United States for their education. You know what I mean? So yeah,
has been building an army of robots.
That's
a
right.
leaked internal document shows executives hoping they can eliminate 600,000 roles by using robots.
That's right.
And they know
Thank God. Thank God. People that work in Amazon fulfillment centers, that's probably the least fulfilling job that you could ever have.
keep your garden tools handy, that's for sure.
It sucks dick. You probably.
Not only that, Lola, start composting so you have good soil to work with. You can throw cardboard and all kinds of stuff in there that doesn't have ink on it particularly. Packing paper, the brown packing paper, the brown sacks you might get from the grocery store. All that stuff goes into my compost, and it is some nice rich dirt. I was actually telling my wife yesterday that I need to start a second compost so I can start taking the dirt out of the first one without adding new layers onto it. But yeah, composting is huge. Not only is it cool, and I heard Joe Rogan say this years ago, and that was what really got me into composting, honestly, was this statement right here, that we take things that could break down and go back into the earth, we throw them in little plastic bags that literally separate them from the earth, and then throw it in the trash. And a lot of the stuff, like I would say that my trash to compost to recycling ratio is probably equal, not equal thirds, but maybe 25% goes to compost, and then the other two are split 50-50. So yeah, you can make yourself some really good soil if you compost. Keep green tips handy too. Damn robots.
Probably get injuries. You're overworked. I mean, didn't they have a bunch of people working in one of those factories that were told that they had to stay inside, and then they ended up being killed by a tornado? I mean, these are terrible jobs. Nobody grows up and says, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to take the box from the conveyor belt and put it in the truck. Nobody wants to grow up and be that person. People take these jobs because they have to, not because they want to.
how bad this sounds. That's why also in the document, they discussed replacing words like automation, AI, and robot with the term advanced technology. But here's the dystopian reality. Back in June, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy addressed all the employees about AI and automation. We have strong conviction that AI agents will change how we work. There will be billions of these agents. We will need fewer people.
Billions must lose their job.
Doing some of the jobs that are being done today.
That's right.
The keyword here is will. He's not saying AI agents are currently good enough to replace human workers. He's
I sped it up by 0.25 to save a little bit of time because we got a lot to get to. Is that annoying to you guys? If it is, I'll change it back. Just let me know in the chat what you prefer.
Saying they will.
Well, they are to an extent, right? I mean, like to an extent they are. And automation and technology is going to replace workers everywhere. It's going to happen in a lot of different perspectives, not just in one way. It's going to happen overall. You're completely correct, because I work at UPS part-time for health insurance. I unload boxes off trucks. Yeah, of course. Some people enjoy doing easy labor just to not use their brain.
Oh, look, that commenter just made a similar comment like what you said, TNT. I've been a warehouseman and an order puller. It's not a bad job, and if you do well at it, you get paid well. Yeah, well, I can relate to that. When I was 17, I was framing houses in the morning and loading trucks for UPS in the evening, and I had a pregnant girlfriend. After 3 months of working that job, I had full health benefits that covered pre-existing pregnancies. So then the birth of my child was covered with insurance that I didn't have before. So yeah, there's totally tons of benefits. It was a right to work state. I was backed by the Teamsters union. I didn't even have to join the union, which I finally did later on, but that was after they helped me get promoted because of a seniority thing. And it wasn't even that expensive, right? So yeah, there's tons of benefits and uses for it. I mean, his point of nobody thinks when they're a kid, I want to grow up and do this. But a lot of people are willing to do it when the pay is right. And that's the whole point of, or one of the big points of what's kind of going on right now is that these companies aren't offering enough money for people to want to go and do that shit. You know what I mean? If they were actually paying and offering the proper benefits, people will do it and they'll be happy if they can. You know, we're supposed to. You know, men see a situation and they say, "I'll handle it." And if they got to go do that and work hard and get dirty and whatever, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. But yeah, nobody dreams of that. Everybody dreams of being a fireman or a baseball player or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? Advanced gay technology, no thanks. Okay.
I guarantee you, if you gave that person the same amount of money and you told them you don't have to go to work, I bet they'd stop showing up.
Will be maybe in the future.
Probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this, are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company.
That's
that
pretty
can write
good.
code. And then over time, we'll get to the point where a lot of the code in our apps, and including the AI that we generate, is actually going to be built by AI engineers instead of people engineers.
Again, the key words here, I think probably these
Pay
are
benefits,
just hopes.
perks,
They're
food,
laying
yeah.
off real human workers today, despite recognizing that AI cannot do a mid-level engineer's job.
Well, exactly. That's why they're not laying off the mid-level engineers, but they are laying off the entry-level engineers. And so, like, right now, AI can't do, like, basically, they're trying to plot a trajectory for where their business is going to be. But at this current point in time, it is undeniable that AI can do some people's jobs. So right now, it's doing some people's jobs, and later on, it's going to be doing everybody's jobs, or more people's jobs.
They're hoping one day it can. They're redirecting the money they used to pay real human workers into AI investments. They're betting on a future that hasn't even arrived yet. They could afford both employees and AI, but instead they're laying off workers right before the holidays after record profits while the CEOs get richer from the very act of firing them. Because
That's exactly right. Welcome to the fucking show. And if it was your money that you had invested, I guarantee you that the companies that make those decisions would be the most highly invested in companies in the world. Because everybody is always generous with somebody else's money and somebody else's time. But when it comes time to make decisions for your 401k, to make decisions for your investments, you are going to want to maximize your revenue. You are going to want to have a good rate of return.
for these executives, layoffs are a means to cut costs. And who costs the most? Senior employees. A perfect example of this that we saw earlier this year was when Microsoft let go of Ron Buckton. Now, if you're not a developer, you may not know who he is, but Ron spent 18 years at Microsoft. 10 of those years was spent working on TypeScript. TypeScript is used by over 5 million developers. I use TypeScript. The majority of the websites that you interact with use TypeScript. And despite Microsoft having over $245 billion in revenue for 2024, they still let Ron go. Was Ron...
Yep, that's right. They fired because they didn't need him.
Suddenly discovered to be a slacker after 18 years of promotions? Or is it that executives looked at a spreadsheet, saw his senior level salary, and decided that number was too big?
I do think that, to be fair,
and that's how the world has gone historically. The older you get, the more your pay demands, essentially. And it's graduating out of that era into you're easily replaceable and we're going to save a buck. And it's crazy. You find that little gap in her teeth super sexy.
In general, in favor of AI and like this what I think is kind of like a technological revolution. But I do think that they're overshooting right now. I think they're probably like, you shouldn't be firing people like that this early. Like, I mean, maybe there's like a unique reason why, but I do think they're probably overshooting and probably firing too many people too quickly. But I think that the inevitability of this is not to be denied.
And at the same time they're laying off senior workers, they're also eliminating junior positions. Between January and October of 2024, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates was 15.3% in their first year after graduation. Wow. This shows recent graduates are staying unemployed for longer and they're applying to roles outside of their degrees just to land.
That way the interest from their student loans can go up.
The other thing that a lot of these students are doing is they're, becoming Uber drivers. And even that, I have a story that's going to be replaced too. Like, right now, I say that because I was kind of looking into how can I make a little bit of extra money before our trip here after Thanksgiving. And like the fastest way that I could do it would be maybe to go and use my Tesla to give some Uber rides or do some deliveries or Uber Eats or something like that, right? You see people making a couple $100 a day doing that at best. If you work a long day, which to be honest, I haven't done it because I don't want people getting in my car. I got white seats and I could just see the first person I pick up is going to mess some shit up. And so, but there's a lot of people that do that. These students, particularly while they're trying to find the right job. It's not like it used to be where you graduate with your, architectural degree and you go straight into making 90 grand a year working for a firm, right? That those jobs are few and far between. And so you got to bridge the gap to try to at least, if nothing else, pay for your student loans so those don't default, and then your credit gets destroyed before you even get a chance at starting life, right? Yeah, the wear and tear on your car isn't worth it. Yeah, I was thinking about just doing it maybe for a couple weeks, see if I could make it, a couple $1,000 or $1,000 just to have some extra spending money while we go out of town. But yeah, I've kind of decided that I'm not gonna pick people up. That's for sure. Maybe do some Uber Eats like deliveries, but not go crazy with the car. That's for sure. I got the full self-driving thing for this month, but yeah.
That's good. First position. And it's not looking any better in other countries.
There are many graduates now that are coming out of universities, which means that there are more people that are graduating necessarily for the jobs that are there. I saw a rather shocking statistic in the UK earlier this week that was talking about the fact...
TNT with a $5 Rumble rant for the Don't Do Uber Fund. If you all want to contribute to the Don't Do Uber Fund, hit that membership button, hit that super chat, go over to Rumble and send a Rumble rant. I certainly appreciate that, TNT. That's awesome. That's funny, too. I do appreciate the $5.
Last year, there were 1.2 million graduates for 17,000 jobs, which starts to give you the idea of just how...
Then why the fuck do we keep importing people?
...competitive that market has become. And on top of that, with AI, many of those graduate jobs are changing or are more difficult for people to get into.
Yeah, they're raising the barrier to entry to a higher level of intelligence. See, there are some jobs that if you have an IQ of 81... you're not going to be able to do this job. Like, I don't care, oh, well, what if we train them? No, you're just not going to be able to do the job. You can't train a dog to use a typewriter. You can't train a person to do some jobs. The more that this technology gets better, the higher that threshold will be. And you're going to have dumb people, less creative people, less critically thinking people, lower IQ people be completely removed from the job ecosystem. That's what's happening. It's happening right now.
Vercel used its best salesperson.
Like, you think about it like this, right? There used to be a retard that would sit there with a screwdriver and screw a bolt into a tire and get paid the equivalent of $75 an hour, live in a beautiful house, have every benefit that he wanted, have a family that he supported, 2 cars and a boat, and go on vacations. And that guy probably didn't even have a high school education.
Start a family,
turn a nut on a boat.
Yeah, right. That same guy, he called him a retard, but that same guy that he's describing could have multiple kids. People had 5, 6, 7 kids back then. They worked one job. The wife stayed at home, and he did do that. They worked on a manufacturing line, did one job all day. Yeah, it's not glamorous, but the value they got out of that compared to what you get out of your work today was tenfold. But Ricky continues to say, now delivery of stuff I would do, but not people. I drove a taxi for 17 years. It can be stressful, messy, and dangerous. Yeah, I actually, one of the big deterrents was I went onto the Reddit Uber driver section, and somebody had a person shit in their car in back-to-back weeks, different people. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. That's not getting out. That's not washing out. And then other people are like stinky people, and then you also have folks that will like the EBT folks, they'll hire a ride, and then as soon as you drop them off, they remove the tip. And I'm not trying to deal with people like that, you know what I mean? And frankly, yeah, I'm just not doing that. I'm not gonna do it. Come on, I seen Asmon's video on how to cook a steak, and he has no right to call anyone a retard. I didn't see that, but does he not know how to cook a steak, I assume? Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Bringing roaches and stuff. No, that's the final straw right there. Or they'll cancel the ride halfway through. Yeah. And that's just partially me projecting my goodwill, my proper behavior onto people that I would potentially pick up, because I've done Uber a few times, and what do? I get in there from the airport, I throw my bag in the back seat, they take me home, and I don't have a drink. I'm not drunk, I don't have something that I can spill in the car, you know what I mean, that type of scenario. So it just seems like it's that projection thing that I warn people of, that we can't be projecting our good selves onto other people and giving them the benefit of the doubt. And that was what I was doing to potential people that I would pick up. And just the reality is, there's a lot of dumb people. There's a lot of inconsiderate people in this world, and they're always trying to look out for themselves. And why would I risk my my white leather interior Tesla that I love to make $7? Yeah, you guys are right. You guys are just me says, excuse me, yikes, y'all are bringing up things I would have never imagined. Now I feel sorry for the Uber drivers. Yeah. Ricky says, I got stories. He also said he drove taxis for 17 years. Yeah, man, I'm sure that was rough. Anyways, let's get back to this video.
Nowadays, that's done with a robot. Take his fucking back. Well, I'm telling you, right? Like that's what's going to happen. And so all those people, that's called labor. Yeah, but it's also called a robot does the same thing, and you don't have to pay the fucking guy $75 an hour, and then just tell him to get the hell out. Like,
right.
What do you mean? Like, and you,
not only that, you don't have to pay for Social Security. You don't got to invest in their FICA. You don't have to pay for all those things that I mentioned early on that an employer pays that you never see on your paycheck. You know, you got workman's comp that comes along with your stuff. You don't see that deduction on your check. It's just something that an employer has to pay. And so if you're putting a robot in there, there's no workman's comp. There's no, matching investment into somebody's 401k. There's no healthcare benefits. There's no worrying about if, like, you remember when Obamacare came out and it was like if you work 38 hours a week, then your company had to like pay for your healthcare, and then everybody was getting their hours reduced because nobody wanted to pay for their part-time employees or semi-part-time or even their full-time employees' healthcare because it was a huge expense on top of what they were already paying them, and companies couldn't afford it. All that goes away. All you got to do is pay one dude that can work on all of the robots, maybe 2-3 dudes that can work on all the robots, depending on how many you have, and that's it. You buy the robot, it goes to work, it does the thing. You have one engineer that does the programming. You have one mechanic that does the nuts and bolts fixes and, greases the joints and makes sure that the hydraulic fluid hoses are, repaired when they bust and stuff like that. And that's it. And ultimately, they do only care about their bottom dollar, right?
You would make this decision too. Everybody would make this decision when it comes to their own personal finances.
Well, the other thing about being a driver is, I'd be strapped, and that could always lead to something too. So dealing with assholes, so just kind of avoid it. Maybe, like I said, maybe do deliveries, do Uber Eats or something like that. But I just at this point, it just is what it is.
That's my point. Everybody would do this themselves. Useless labor. Yeah. What do we do about it? Well, you have to tax companies that are using automation in a way that, you can redistribute the money into the population, right? I mean, that's what you have to do.
Okay, Wick.
But it's not going to happen. I think we're going to have to bring back somehow like slavery or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe feudalism. It's one or the other. Maybe both. Or you could have a plague. Maybe all three.
To train an AI agent, allowing the company to reduce a 10-person team's work down to just one person managing the AI agent.
Remember what I said? This is exactly what I've said every single time. It's not replacing all 10 people, it's replacing 9 of them and giving the one person who's the best at the job the ability to do the job of all 10 people.
As a developer, I also see this. A lot of companies are now using AI agents to do the smaller JIRA tickets that usually a junior developer would do. But this means that they're effectively eliminating junior positions, while at the same time we have fewer senior employees because their salaries make them layoff targets.
Yes.
More seniors and retirees are returning to the workforce because they can't afford the cost of living on their retirement funds or their Social Security.
Yeah, there's a lot of old boomers. Like, everybody jokes about how boomers, grew up in the greatest economy ever. But some people, even whenever they have an aimbot, they end up losing a match. So there are boomers that don't have a lot of money saved up, and because of that, they end up being broke, and then they have to go back to work.
In fact, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, people aged 50 and older are the fastest growing group of those experiencing homelessness.
Honestly, that's so sad. That's actually so disgraceful. As
that's
the richest country in the world, the fact that this is the case, this is a complete disgrace.
With that number expected to double by 2030.
I said triple. She said triple, not double.
This is my tent.
Yeah.
There's my kitchen.
Oh my God, she living out there in the woods.
Yes. I am out in the woods.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But here's a little secret.
What's the secret?
I got plenty of privacy.
Because despite paying...
Jesus, man.
into Social Security with every paycheck, that money isn't being saved for you. It's being used to pay for current retirees, and it's also not keeping up with the cost of living.
No, it's not
the
close.
Average monthly payment for retirees is $2,002. I'm not currently in the US, but even here in Stockholm, that wouldn't cover my rent. But regardless, the US government is considering increasing the retirement age to 69.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to do it too. They're going to do it.
By many workers claiming that employers are deeming them too experienced, a nice way for these companies to say that they don't want to hire you after 40. And actually, Workday, that horrible job application software, they're being sued with applicants alleging the company's AI disqualified them because they were over 40.
So I made a post about over a month ago talking about how I was laid off at 50, being at the peak of my career, and thousands of you.
It's like, what is this? Like that movie, whenever you reach like 100 or like a certain age, they just instantly kill you. It's like, all right, happy birthday, you're dead. You're fired.
Saying you're going through the same thing. They say you're too overqualified. Again, you're not going to be happy here. I even had someone make a comment saying that they went to Trader Joe's.
or you turn 50 and they insert you into the battery cell, like on the Matrix, right? They turn you into a battery.
To try to get a job, and they were denied because they are overqualified.
It's 2025, and the new reality is that people in their mid-50s, late 50s are the new unemployables. It's almost impossible to land another job at your current level. You can almost kiss it goodbye. They can say ageism is illegal all they want. They can make believe that it's kumbaya and we love everybody and we're all equal. And no, it doesn't work like that.
If that's the case,
right? Nobody gives a shit about ageism at this point. It's been like that for a long time.
To work until we're 70 if these companies stop hiring people around the age of 40 and more graduates.
You're going to be turned into a battery, so you can power a robot that washes a rich person's shoes.
Are now switching to trade jobs, meaning that blue-collar workers are now competing against white-collar workers for the same handful of trade jobs. We've seen at least 180,000 government employees let go, and now we see senior FANG employees re-entering the job market after layoffs.
I'm a recent college grad looking for a job, and today I learned that not only are we competing with all of the people last year who couldn't get jobs, we are also competing with people who are currently working in entry-level jobs and looking to switch companies because their companies aren't promoting them because the market is so bad. A recruiter I just got off the phone with told me that I'm going up against someone who has 2 years of postgraduate full-time work experience.
The same thing happened, like if you're around my age, you know the same thing happened whenever we were like all 21 to like 24. Because like back then, that's whenever the recession happened.
Dude, that's crazy, TNT. He said he's not wrong. I'm 52 and it's tough. I get hired for a job they simply can't do, then lead it and get laid off at completion. Yeah, and then they're talking about increasing retirement till 69. I mean, think about when you enter your enter the work range, maybe 15, start to get part-time jobs, things like that. But really you start getting serious, 18. Okay. So then 18 to 50, that's 22 years, right? Yeah. 22 years. And then you're supposed to work another 20 years. Like at 50, you're only halfway through your work life, essentially. According to the new retirement standard, if they raise it to 69. And if people over 50 aren't hireable, how is that a sustainable equation? I know these people think 2 + 2 can equal 5, but like how is that a sustainable issue, right? Like proposition, it's not. That's why as we get older, our value grows, but this is once again the boomers that are basically the CEOs of these companies. They built these companies, once again, pulling up the ladder behind them. Not only are they not going to let us work for their companies now, they're going to replace us with AI and robots and not give us any kind of chance as they try to, I guess, live forever. I don't know. It's insane. Yeah, I'll be in a wheelchair before 69. I've worked real work since I was 12. Exactly, dude. I started laying carpet when I was, 18-ish and did for many years. And there's no way my hands, back, knees are going to last till I'm 69 if I, anyways, especially continually working physical jobs like that. Term limits for the zombies in Congress and Senate. Yeah, I agree with that.
After 2008, and it was almost impossible to get a job back then. Like you were competing against people that had 5 or 10 years of experience, and it was like, okay, well, how am I ever going to get a job when every job has like 4 applicants, and you need to have experience to get experience, but you don't have any experience, so you can't get any experience, and you can't get any experience because you don't have any experience. It's like the unemployment catch-22 that keeps people like her and any other young person that's graduating college in this like limbo. And what happens is that now they have their student loan debt that's compounding and building on top of itself. So that's
why student loan student loans are a complete scam. There's no promise for the job at the end, even if you do everything right. It's crazy. College tuition is way too much. It's just about enriching themselves off the naive young person and taking advantage of the young person that we told to do everything right and then go to college. And it's $25,000 a year or more.
Amount of money that they had that they're supposed to be offsetting. It's kind of like, I mean, just the way that interest works, right? Is that it becomes worse and worse and worse the bigger it is, right? The bigger it is, the bigger it gets. The smaller it is, the less quickly it becomes larger, right? Like basically, right? Because just the way that the interest works. And so now they're basically having like this, like a 5% bonus being put on top of their entire loan because they can't make any of their money back. Yeah, it's gatekeeping. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Wait,
gatekeeping.
doesn't this collapse the consumer market itself? Well,
another way of saying that the boomers pulled up the ladder behind them, essentially.
No, because you're going to have rich people that have all the money.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to compete with that.
So let me get this straight. We have retirees, new graduates, blue collar and white collar, government employees, senior FANG employees, all fighting over a dwindling number of jobs. And at the same time that everyone's trying to find a job, inflation is out of control. The cost of living the past 5 years just keeps increasing.
Well, let's see if anybody else is experiencing this. So last year, my homeowner's insurance for the year was $3,018. Year before that, it was $2,600. Year before that, $2,200. Year before that.
So it went up?
At $2,100. I'm on this house for...
So it went up by like... It went up by 50%.
Well, he's not done yet.
4 years. This year, my homeowner's insurance is over $6,000. No claims in the last 4 years. I've never had a claim against the house.
300%.
But my insurance
God.
doubled. Homeowners insurance doubled
No claims.
year over year with no claims.
Yet wages...
This is why people like socialism. This is why people want communism. This is why people want revolutions. This is why people become extremist, is that they have something like that happen to them. They are enjoying an almost comfortable life, and then they have all of the life squeezed out of that and then redistributed to these companies that are basically extorting them for money, robbing them for money. And I think this is also, it's happening all the way down the line. It is happening.
Aren't keeping up with the cost of living, despite us seeing both Apple and Microsoft hit a $4 trillion valuation. And meanwhile, our representatives are telling us that inflation is only 3%, yet they're not explaining the bigger picture. Inflation may be 3% this year, but what was it last year and the year before?
Right.
They're not adding on all the prior years, because the reality is inflation rarely decreases. And in fact, it benefits the governments to have inflation.
Well, you have fractional reserve banking, you have inflation. It really, I mean, money, it's always going to just keep going up. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how much.
Right. And we talked about this a bit last night, but apparently, and this is another counter to this scenario that Trump is championing with his tariffs, that historically the Fed looked at the last 150 years in the US, France, and the UK, I believe was the other region. And tariffs, when used properly, implemented properly, they did cause a rise in unemployment, but at the same time, they actually reduced inflation. And so Trump is actually countering the inflation with the tariffs, but then you have the unemployment thing. Well, to what Captain Willie Grimm said earlier, we're actually bringing more jobs back into the United States. So we might be able to counter that, and we get the best of both worlds, essentially, with Trump tariffs and bringing back manufacturing into our country. But yeah.
It means they owe less debt. And about that inflation, a lot of it is artificially created. Tyson and other corporations conspired to create an artificial pork shortage so that they could increase the prices of pork from 2009 to 2018. When they were caught, they paid just $85 million.
By limiting the supply. So there's a $20 billion market, and they had to pay $85 million to settle the lawsuit.
That's nothing compared to the $20 billion pork industry. In earnings calls, the CEO has bragged about passing on inflation to consumers. Keep in mind, the same CEO that was caught creating artificial inflation.
Like many other companies, we were faced with a range of...
His name is Donnie King. Donnie, all right.
Higher levels of inflation.
Right. You think about how they've been killing off warehouses full of chickens and stuff like that, claiming a bird flu, right? And then the government runs with that and all of the other things that gets magnified into.
Our teams have worked together with our customers to pass along that inflation through price increases.
We will remain disciplined and agile in our pricing initiatives to ensure that any additional inflationary pressures are passed along to customers.
We'd like to think that we have relationships with customers that allow us to be able to take to them inflation that we see in the marketplace and be able to pass that on ultimately to the consumer.
This is
so they just said, if we're going to eat shit, you're going to eat shit.
They should have done that, TNT.
That's it.
Genuinely terrifies me as unemployment keeps rising and millions of us are fighting over fewer jobs, all while the economy is horrible. We're handing unprecedented power to these corporations.
Well, here's what's happening is that as robotics, technology, AI, automation, and other forms of technology in general, as it advances, what it's going to do is it's going to create it's going to erode the inside of the, let's look at like in terms of like 3 different like sections of people, right? The bottom 10%, the middle 80%, and the top 10%. The top 10% will have an unprecedented in history amount of wealth consolidation that would make the COVID recession recovery look like a joke. It's going to make the 1930s look like a joke. It's going to make ancient Rome look like a joke. That's happening right now. It's happening. It's not going to happen. It's happening at this very moment. Okay. That's the top 10%. The 80% of people will then be basically reallocated into the lifestyle that the bottom 10% of people currently live in. And you are going to have a larger separation of people that are very wealthy, that have the means of production, that have the resources, that have the control, and that control will multiply in value and power. And the people without it will also divide in power and value. So they will have less and less and less, and like literally just like fractions of it, all right? And they eat the rich. Well, that will never work. You'll never overcome them. The reason why is they'll just pay half of you to kill the other half. That's it. It'll never happen. Yeah, it's never going to happen. They'll just, that's it. And there's nothing you can do. Sad reality. Yeah, I'm just being honest, right? It will never happen.
But honestly, I don't think there'll be a pay half of us to kill the other half scenario, because if you're so young that you can't break into the job market, and if you're over 40, really, she said over 50, but it's really if you're over 40, that leaves you a 10-year gap. It's like, what do you think all the 30-year-olds are going to fight the rest of us? I mean, Gen X, younger and younger, it's not really going to happen in that scenario. It's going to be literally these disenfranchised people that go and, like Wick said earlier, piss on the circuit boards. They're going to burn down these AI warehouses. They're going to burn down these automated systems, these production warehouses that nobody works at, right? They're going to destroy everything that has been built to replace them, to bring back their own jobs. Like, Tim Pool and folks joke, or not even joke, but they mentioned Civil War. That's what the Civil War is probably going to look like in the United States in the future, continuing down this particular path. When nobody has value unless you're right in that particular zone of age and qualification, and there's still not even everybody in that age group. Everybody else is just overvalued or whatever. Yeah, you'll have some people that are just like, fine, I'll go live in the pod and feed me the bugs, right? We'll eat the white slop that they eat in the Matrix. You know what I mean? But there's going to be a lot of people that are like, nah, I demand more out of this. We are the descendants, or a lot of us are, some of us are the descendants of the folks that moved here and settled this country, the pioneers, the folks that fought the British, that wanted a better life for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's in a lot of our heritage, especially in this country. Just Me says, why is it not major news that Tyson was part of the scheme to limit the pork supply because the prices and cause the prices to artificially increase? It should be a major headline. Oh, I agree. And how am I just hearing about this for the first time? Don't piss off the working class. Not only do we know where the breaker box is, we installed it. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, it's just artificial inflation. I get that, limiting the supply on something, drawing the value up of what you're providing, but when it comes to feeding people to increase your bottom dollar, that's pretty scummy. But, you know, the farming industry is regulated like that. They subsidize corn and all that kind of stuff. The beef prices are out of this world right now.
They know it. Companies are already using dynamic wage setting, using algorithms and AI to decide what we should be paid. It's algorithm exploitation. Uber pioneered this. Their AI was able to identify which drivers would accept a $3 ride because they're behind on their bills. DoorDash
It's crazy.
Got to get all that money out of them.
also uses it. CareRev uses it for healthcare workers.
I have been struggling to pay all my bills on time. When I first moved into this apartment 5 years ago, that wasn't an issue at all. I feel ashamed sometimes as a man or as a person that I can't come up with the bills. It's frustrating. I Uber every day.
Exactly. It's bad. Yeah. Happened in France. They literally killed all the rich. Big fat reset. Really. So whenever the wealth and merchant class decided to kill the royalty class, the poor people thought they won. No, that's definitely not an example of what I just said. Oh, no.
Right now, it's Wednesday. I drove around from 7 till 11 and made $20.
$20.
What is stopping Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or any other company from using this same type of wage setting? They already know our salary. They monitor everything we do on our work computer and
It's illegal. That's why they don't do it. If they could do it, they would do it.
phone. Because the reality is Amazon laid off 14,000 workers, yet they're still hiring for engineering, sales, and management. Microsoft laid off...
No, I don't think that they're actually hiring. There's like requirements that businesses have that they have to put a listing for a job publicly, even if they're going to hire internally. And I think that's the reason why you're probably seeing a lot of these different jobs being placed, is that they have to do it for some degree of like, compliance. But in a lot of the cases, these jobs aren't real. They're ghost jobs. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like you're never going to get hired for this business development senior manager job. It doesn't exist. Fred from accounting is getting fired, or sorry, he's getting hired into this. He's known this for 2 years now.
They just have to post it
and you're
publicly.
sitting there writing out your
especially if it's a union job, they got to post it publicly, even if they're going to hire internally. The one thing that I would say to that, TNT, because I don't disagree necessarily with what you're saying, it's just, if the news would have came out sooner, people would have probably chose not to buy Tyson Foods, which would then fuck up their scenario of trying to limit supply so prices can go up. You know what I mean? Because it's like nobody's going to buy it. You're just going to stock shelves and it's going to sit there and rot and go bad.
Why want
That's what I would have done.
to be in the job in Microsoft? I've always had Windows, and nobody's even going to read it. An AI is going to read. Nope.
Over 15,000 this year. They're hiring. Intel laid off roughly 22,000 this year. Yet they're still hiring.
Because they have to put those listings, but they're not actually hiring.
Corporations lay off people only to hire new employees at a lower salary with less equity and a worse benefits package. If they're already trying to replace us with AI, is it really that big of a stretch to think that they wouldn't lower our salaries by roughly 30% because their AI determined that...
Well, they are lowering your salary. They lower your salary every year that they don't give you a wage that accounts for the cost of living.
Right.
That's the problem. So even a very high wage, like $20, is actually not sufficient to live in a number of urban areas in the United States now. So the fact is that you are getting your wage lowered every single year because they're not accounting for that. Also, investors see how many listings there are? Yeah.
Willing to accept that salary in this economy. They increasingly give us worse salaries, while Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, made $40 million in 2024. His compensation is directly tied to Amazon's stock price. The day Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs...
There it is. I better buy some fucking Amazon stock. Look at that. Holy shit.
So I don't know if you guys caught that. I was talking and I apologize. I'm going to just bounce it back for you.
Salary in this economy. They increasingly give us worse salaries, while Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, made $40 million in 2024. His compensation is directly tied to Amazon's stock price. The day Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs...
Okay, he cut her off, but the day that they announced 14,000 layoffs, their stock went up nearly $20 from like $221 to $246. So what, $15? They fired these people and their stock jumped. And just like when Elon fired 80% of X and the product got better, everybody was watching then, and now everybody is watching this. So Amazon fired these people, their stock jumped. And then it wasn't done with Amazon. It also happened at UPS, which she's about to get into.
There it is. I better buy some fucking Amazon stock. Look at that. Holy shit.
Amazon stock jumped 13%. The day UPS announced 48,000 layoffs, their stock price jumped almost 13% as well.
Which is why it's happening. It's because everybody knows.
That's despicable. That's not how the stock market is supposed to work.
This is the correct decision for a company to take, even though it's not the human-friendly decision. It is the correct decision, financially.
Wall Street literally rewards human suffering. And some
Well, yeah, of course. There's a lot of money you can make off of people being sick.
of you may own
I went into the fucking the oncology place. I felt like I was walking into the Hilton fucking hotel with my dad. He got pancreatic cancer. And I walk in there, I say, oh, there ain't no way they're curing this shit. Yeah, bro, like you got these, these nice wooden walls, like everything, like these mahogany tables, these chairs. Like, yeah, bro, this is not. Yeah, they're not curing cancer. It's not gonna happen.
Amazon stock, because actually stock ownership in the US is at a record high. 62% of Americans own stock. But when we dig deeper, we see that the top 10% own 93% of all stocks. They want us to believe that this is about the
that's cute. The top 10% own 93% of all stocks. Yeah.
stocks. They want us to believe that this is about the future and innovation when they're
Well, it is for them, their future, their innovation, not yours. Not yours, slave. Go back to your battery station and power my robot that massages my feet. No, I don't want you to do it. The robot has to do it.
No, I don't want you to do it. The robot has to do it.
Problem that they created. They're laying off real human workers today, investing that money into their dream of AI replacing all of us in the future.
Man. She is right about everything, and it doesn't matter. The reason why?
There's no stopping.
People are so stupid. They can't even understand this problem. They have no idea. They can't comprehend it. Critical thinking is at an all-time low. People are more uneducated than ever. Nobody knows how to think. Everybody is going to be turned into a battery. And that's just the way it's going to be. I know some people might not want to hear that, but that's where we're at. That's it. Link the video. I'll link the video. Yeah, let me go ahead and link the video.
So that's pretty much it from that. That's all just me mentioned in TNT. You guys were kind of going back and forth there, having the conversation about maybe Tyson needed to make more money. Well, then they should just charge more. They shouldn't have reduced the supply. They could just charge more and say, look, we're hiring Americans. And then that would have people be like, all right, well, I get it. I support that. Now I will buy Tyson stuff because you're at least hiring Americans. And I want them to make a good wage. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes just the shadiness, the lack of transparency with these companies, it's just greed is what it really boils down to. They were just trying to make as much money off of raising fewer pigs, feeding fewer pigs. I'm going back to Rumble where just me isn't out debating me. Well, no, it's a worthwhile conversation, to be honest with you, dude. Always let the new guy pull the clean out cover and stand back. So basically what we saw there was that through this AI implementation over, just this short amount of time, 10% of Americans have lost their jobs, the majority of which are over the age of 40, 50 years old. And at the same time, we reiterated the fact that young people are coming out of college, they're not getting hired, and they're also competing with the kids that came out of college the year before and the year before that, and then people that are already working with the company that are trying to move up or move laterally within the company that are already, working there. At the same time, carrying student loan debt, right? So just getting worse and worse, having to fill their time with driving for Uber, which we saw that I think it was Uber is able to identify individuals and charge them more because they don't have cars and things like that, which is just crazy. It's just a big giant algorithm that's just outperforming and outpacing the American people. Otter's in the chat. And It's a recipe for destruction. It's not a recipe of growth at all. Eventually, you have the elite 1% or less standing there holding the entire bag. The rest of the country is literally homeless, doesn't have a means of making an income. And then you get taken over by a competing country is what it really leads to. You don't sit there and function at that rate very long. You have a rebellion within the country, and you have at the same time foreign invaders who aren't going down this path, and particularly communist countries. And what the young people are seeing, what the people that are, Gen X is 50-ish and younger, 55 and younger, I'm not sure exactly. You have all of these generations that are like, capitalism has failed me. Capitalism has completely failed my life, failed me. Look what it's led to. I wasn't, I watched all of my elders able to retire, to buy lake homes, to buy land, enjoy life at some point. And I'm at that point now, and I still have credit card debt. I'm at that point now, and I haven't paid off my mortgage. How much longer can I sustain this if you're even able to sustain at that point anyway? So they're going to say capitalism doesn't work for me, and then you start factoring in the national debt, which we're going to talk about here in this next video. And all of a sudden, an alternative to capitalism seems more and more appealing, right? And that's kind of what I was alluding to last night when I got into this. But we're going to watch this video. I'm going to start it, and then I have to go use the restroom real fast and refresh my beverage. But I'm going to get this one going. I'm going to also set the speed to 1.25, just a little bit faster so that so it won't be here all night. But when you combine these two concepts, and Tim Pool, he kind of has a good grasp of, kind of where the kids are coming from. And then Scott Horton is the guest, and he's the libertarian, but he understands foreign spending and some of these things. So when you kind of put this whole recipe together, what I've drawn from it is basically kind of what I just outlined. Not the best pause on Tim's behalf. I'm pretty good at that lately, actually. Pause it at the funny spots. There's the green dildo AI hat. That's funny. And I want to talk about how Trump falls into this as well at the same time. But here, I'm going to let this play, and I will be right back.
Why is it a problem if we lose all our technology?
We don't know how to do anything without it. We're entirely dependent on it.
All the suffering you already described.
Our collective
our
knowledge.
society. Well, we have very high-tech farming. Okay, wait, hold on.
We have very productive farming, and that would end. That's what you're talking about.
Who is our society?
We are, but as individuals, our ability to cooperate is contingent upon this technology. Each of us is individuals. Society is made of people, and our ability to cooperate is heavily contingent upon the technological infrastructure we've built up to enhance the cooperation.
So again, what would the problem be?
We'd be incapable of communicating, trading, producing.
Who is we?
Individual human beings living in the society that you're describing would be incapable of carrying on in the way that we have become dependent upon carrying on.
Why is that a
We'll
problem?
die.
You will die?
Many people will. I hope not. I'm not dying.
A lot
I'm built
of people
different.
You were just describing what would happen. Indeed. My point is, the argument, unfortunately, comes to a point where there will be a logical conclusion. It would be a good thing.
Oh, no, I agree. It could be if it's God's will.
Do you think the flood was a good thing?
Well, exactly. It was God's will. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I thought you might be going there. But yes,
I was getting you there.
No, I know.
But
we need to protect our son.
If society got to the point where there was wanton, like, child sacrifice, mutilation, degeneracy, drug abuse, just sin, gambling, vice, casinos popping up everywhere, borders collapsing, war in the Middle East. Hey, America resembles that remark.
Yeah, exactly.
My point is,
no, I agree.
They're making a point where someone says, maybe it's time to build the boat.
I don't agree.
Well, we have microcosmic examples.
I'm not saying it's right now. I'm saying there is a point at which people would say it's the flood.
I never trust an Irishman near your spoons. I forgot Seamus is here, and I love Seamus. Actually, I wish he was on this show more because he brings he brings more of a religious aspect to the conversation. Tell her has to poop. That was one of the fastest ones in history, by the way. No, he brings that religious aspect and the humor aspect to it. There's a couple points where I just start cracking up at what he says.
an element of just escapist fantasy involved in this, not only what we're talking about, but also Gen Z's pathological obsession with the idea that we're going to face climate collapse within our lifetimes, or at least within Gen Z's lifetime. Like, they fantasize about living in a world where they have to surrender to circumstances that are too overwhelming for them.
Yeah, but those people would starve to death.
Do I need to turn that volume up? Is that volume okay? Guys, let me know. It seems like it's a little quieter than the last one.
I mean, so what? We're all just supposed to start a homestead? Like, that's not a viable plan for most people.
That's too bad for most
I do
people.
like her as well.
Life was
TNT.
never fair. And only in the last 100 years did people think they could live off the government teat and not have to work. There's that viral video of the 17-year-old, or not 17-year-old, the guy with $17,000 in his bank account, and he's like, "Why do I have to work?" And it's like, bro, you would have not survived 200 years ago.
Modern society.
Or he would have been way cooler. You know what I mean? He would have built up his ability to do things.
The thing is, we get more and more productive all the time, and so you need, for example,
Sounds
fewer
good.
and
Okay,
fewer
thanks.
farmers to feed bigger and bigger cities full of people. And you know, there's famous economist back a couple hundred years ago named Malthus who said we're overpopulated. There's too many people to feed.
He was a dirty dog.
And then he was discredited because people realized that, yeah, no, you need more people to produce more, to feed more, and it works. And as long as it's property and freedom and free exchange that allow for society to create the things that we need for each other to prosper. So I think as bad as things are right now, and as bad as you can imagine them getting, there's always ways to move positively forward rather than praying for the asteroid or the H-bomb to come.
I'm going to throw
Or the rapture, right? TNT says, I'm willing to try the teat, just the taste. I was listening to this with my wife the other day, and when I originally first heard it, and she's like, why is everybody talking about the teat now? Like, you do it, Tim Pool's doing it. I heard a guy on a TV show we watched on King of Queens, he said it, and I was like, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to make the thumbnail a giant government teat, and then have Snap on the receiving end of the teat. And I don't know, it was just funny. Maybe when I repeat it, it's not as funny, but it made me laugh. We were cracking up. Just me says, when Jesus raptures us, the left is going to celebrate because they're going to think climate change got us.
brought back to Seamus, who said,
"Oh no,
if God does not smite the United States."
It didn't come from me originally, but that's hilarious.
Apology.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up this point that there is a logical point by which things could get so bad. People would, like, I know the, giant meteor of death is a meme. It's a joke. Like, we don't really want to get wiped out. There is a point by which people would be like, please send the meteor of death.
Yeah.
Not
But we do want to be
the
raptured.
EMP is a better example because it resets everybody to baseline, and it's basically like the Hunger Games. Good luck, you might win, probably not.
It's funny.
Meteor is, you're dead. Goodbye.
Serge and
I'm with Musk on this. Everybody gets their own Millennium Falcon. Colonize the galaxy.
Sure. Good luck.
Serge and I were talking about this the other day, but you have these different environmental adaptations people develop over time that gave them a better ability to survive. But now with the processed foods, it's actually like bad for you. And it's like, dude, 300 years ago I would have dominated your village, but now I get rashes from bread. It's like it just completely inverts and subverts.
I think
what
when you see morbidly obese people on SNAP benefits, I'm like, that's a really, really bad thing for a functioning society.
Absolutely.
There's this viral video of the woman who just won in Seattle, the commie, and she was like, "No, what did you say? No longer will food be only for those who can afford it." And it's like,
when has it ever been that way in the United States in anyone's memory?
Think about the math of this. It's deficit economics that we will constantly take from those who produce and give to those who don't, ultimately result in you run out of money in your bank account. That's communism. It doesn't work. Yeah. So we are headed to that point, whether we want it to or not. Whether it's going to be a giant G5 magnetic storm, which wipes out the grid, or productivity just halts because communist governments are rising up and stealing everyone's resources, we are getting to the point where you're going to really wish you were homesteading.
Hey, already they downgraded American debt. We're at $38 trillion. You got so many people in this room. Somebody pull up the chart that shows the federal spending. They spend more now in the budget, more on interest on debt than for the military, for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It's the number one thing.
Biggest. It's the fourth biggest.
It hasn't beaten Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security yet.
No,
but it has beat them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. I saw a line graph that
it's coming.
Maybe picture.
It's coming.
It's very close. But see, this is to me is almost the worst outrage.
This is crazy.
Where does it show the interest on the debt?
Top left. Oh, the interest.
38 billion. The interest payments. Yeah, where's that at?
Right here, U.S. total interest paid is at 5.6 trillion.
Okay, that's. I don't know if you can see my screen here. It's right here is where he's pointing. $5.609 trillion. With a total debt at $105 cajillion, babillion, fulfillion dollars. Like it's clown money. It's monopoly money. Do you feel responsible for this? Should we feel responsible for this? Our kids certainly aren't responsible for it. And that's to my point that I was talking about earlier. Who's going to pay this? At some point, a leader's going to come in and be like, I'm going to actually be truly America first. That leader will be a communist, at least I think. I could be wrong, but I believe it'll be a communist because I think it's going to be somebody that's proposing an alternative to capitalism. Right? I think that'll be the main factor, because people are going to look at this, and when proposed properly, they're going to say capitalism has failed you. Do you feel like you owe this? They're going to break this number down to the population that is continually shrinking and say, you're responsible for, $575,000 of this. And as the day goes on, you owe more than what you can make in a day. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to represent you. I'm going to tell all these countries that hold this debt to fuck off. And if they want a piece of us, we'll go to war. And that person is going to win the election. It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought.
Oh my gosh. Does it say like the yearly interest on the debt?
This is the debt interest on debt net is $968 billion.
Yeah, so that's equivalent to the Pentagon. Yeah. Right. So think about it like this.
That's insane. And
this is just to me.
Bro, our debt to GDP ratio is 121.
Yep.
So think of all the payroll taxes that you pay and that you have paid your whole life, everything that you put into this. Like, not only did that money not go to help some little old lady in the hospital or even go to kill a Palestinian, it just went to pay the interest on the debt to the Central Bank of South Korea.
Whoa. Wait, hold on. My tax dollars are paying off debt instead of killing Palestinian kids? This is an outrage.
Exactly. It's going.
That was a proper response. I love that. That was funny. TNT said, remember the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl? What country helped America? Exactly. What country helps America nowadays? I've been talking about this since, for the last year, potentially, for the most part. There's no countries out here helping us build our border wall. There's no country coming in here helping us deport these illegals. There's no country doing anything helping Trump's agenda that helps the everyday average American, blue collar or anything, right? Nothing from any of our allies. All they do is take from us. All of them do is take from us. But he continued and said, Americans, that's it. Fuck the rest. Stop sending food out of the country and take care of ourselves. Yeah, stop sending food, labor, money, defenses. Look, if you can't, why do I got to pay for your defense if you can't protect yourself from being invaded? You know what I'm saying? Look at Ukraine. Look at how much money they've seeped from our economy. And I don't give a shit. Half those people there speak Russian anyways. I don't care what they call it. That's not my border. If they can't defend themselves, get conquered. Sorry, not sorry. We got our own problems here at home.
Simply to nothing.
But at least it's not helping old ladies, Tim.
This whole conversation, so much of this conversation has been how people are absolutely...
And by get conquered, I mean surrender. You don't have to die in the process of being conquered like in the old days. Just surrender. Change your name to Russia South. It's pretty simple. Yeah, if we have, yeah, exactly. If we keep food in the country, we'll have it cheaper and excess we can actually give to the poor. Yeah. It would make more sense if we did that to have a SNAP program or whatever, right?
Desperate. Their unaffordability of everything. They can't buy a house. They can't buy food. People are...
Tim Pool, I don't think he talks about it during this, but he talks about, I think actually he might, but he mentions that we buy aluminum from Canada, and Canada doesn't have any mines to get the material from the ground. All of their aluminum comes from China. It's just like, what?
Absolutely desperate. They're turning to socialist and hard nationalist politics and all of this stuff. And then their payroll tax, if they have a job at all, is going to nothing. To nothing. I mean, that to me is like the national government just being at war with the American people. Yeah. That interest on the debt compares at all with any of the transfer programs or the cost of the American world empire just to pay interest. And who holds those bonds? foreign central governments, central banks use those American securities as gold bricks in there. And it's the most unfair system that you could possibly come up with.
It doesn't matter if it's a solar storm or a flood or social disorder. This economic system is about to implode, and nothing will stop it.
Right. And when you combine that with the implementation of AI and robotics replacing us for jobs, not only can our system not sustain, the people will not be able to feed themselves. We'll all become subservient to the government. There'll be food lines, bread lines, martial law, to say it kindly, right? To say it lightly. It's a disturbing fact, and then that's until we get invaded, right? You better learn Mandarin.
Reducing costs could slow it down. It's either going to be
math
or Farsi, depending on if the Muslims get here before the Chinese or not.
No, I don't believe that's correct.
It's either this explodes, we go to crypto, and there's going to be a totalitarian system that comes in and saves the day, and people become part of this communistic machine, or we reduce costs by reducing fuel, by creating hydrogen, from petroleum to hydrogen system.
Ian,
One or the other.
Ian,
those are the two things.
There's one thing that's wrong with your assessment. There's only 40 million Gen Alpha.
Okay, before he gets into this, I want to mention too, did you guys hear that they quit making the penny? They quit producing the penny a few days back. And apparently the reason why was because it was costing 4 cents to make one fucking penny. Now, these are the people that are leading us. How did we let it go from 2 cents to make 1 penny and not cancel it? Who the hell are these people? We let it get to the cost is 4 cents to make a penny before we decided, you know what? This isn't a good idea. But it was when it cost 3 cents to make a penny, it was fine. They just kept going. Like, what are they? Like, who the fuck are these people? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Nothing. No system you can implement is going to change that fact. That economics are rooted in the amount of people that can exist to sustain a system. Now, by all means, people say, don't worry, we'll automate those jobs. You can't automate customers. So you don't need to hire a robot to run your Taco Bell if no one's buying tacos.
But you don't need money. Money's a construct.
Money is a universal trade medium to exchange labor between peoples.
Right now it is.
If there's no people, there's no economy. So nothing you're proposing will change what is happening.
There's 40 million. Alpha, there are people, and people can
so,
have kids.
So if you have 80 million people who are mid to high level and older, and they...
By the way, if you haven't hit that like button and subscribed, you're also gay.
They need 80 million entry-level workers, but they only get 40 million. What happens?
H-1Bs.
Well, that's not going to supply us with 40 million workers. Democrats clearly tried, but once again, you can't replace middle managers, assistant managers with Honduran farmers or cartel drug traffickers.
Our system's pretty bloated. I don't think we need all the companies that exist.
Okay, agreed. Now let's pause here. And once again, we have a financial system built upon the needs of 330 million people, and we are going to have 300 million in 20 years. It doesn't matter.
The error you're thinking is the system's not built on the needs of the 330. The system's built by the Federal Reserve and the central bankers.
Ian, you got to stop because you got to stop because you're wrong. Okay, the system that we have, for all of its faults, needs to support the food and water distribution of 336 million people. If at any point water becomes more expensive than the labor a person can produce, the system collapses and people start massacring each other.
Yeah, water's number one.
Water's number one. If the system cannot sustain that water, fortunately, it's very easy and it can. In fact, it can with food too. The problem isn't our access to food and water; it's there are no people anymore. So this means.
Right, and Tim's been talking about this for a long time. There's no people anymore. The reproduction rates are going down. We mentioned that Italy is basically a dying country because of that. Thank you for the $5 Rumble rant. TNT says, like if you don't want to be Ian's butt boy. So you guys better hit that like button. Those likes better go up quick. I'm also chasing that 150th follower on Rumble. So please, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel on Rumble, do make your way over there. I'd like to hit that. I'm at 149. I'd love to get to 150. It's kind of a halfway landmark to 200. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm really encouraged by Rumble lately. So you guys got to get over there and get on that platform if you haven't yet.
You're not going to go to a 50-year-old man and say, you have to work at McDonald's now. He's going to say no. And then the other problem is there's a franchise that owns
I thought it was
Taco
funny.
Bells,
I wanted to read it.
And he's going to say, it's okay. We don't need 18-year-olds anymore. We have Optimus. The problem, your Taco Bell employed by Optimus only gets 1 or 2 customers per day. So then they say there's no point in having Taco Bell, and it shuts down. The economy will implode,
Right.
no matter what, unless we get 40 million more people.
Yeah, people start having a bunch of kids.
It's
I
no.
just went to college.
But no,
I just
but
went
here's
to
the way
college
the
and interviewed
system.
young
It's,
people. I
it's
mean,
too late.
spend more time with young people.
Okay, it's too late to have the kids.
No, what are you talking about? It's never too late.
It is too late to have the kids, Ian, because Generation Alpha is already at 15 to 16 years old.
Why are you still here? What's the point if there's no hope?
No hope for what?
What's the point if there's no hope? And by the way, I actually like Ian part of the time. It's really true about him what they say. He either rolls a 0 or he rolls a 20. I haven't seen a 20 in a while. But this is funny. They get angry at each other and there's no hope.
There's no hope for this system. He's not saying there's no hope for the world.
I said the system is going to collapse. Nothing you can do will stop it.
Why would you still be here then?
What are you talking about?
What's the point if there's no hope, Tim?
Okay, Ian, you are consistently jumping the gun, and you're like in your own mind, off in some
just told me
parallel
there's
reality.
no kid,
Ian
there's
isn't
no
a breeder.
people. Right after you said there's 40 million Gen Alpha, so you use some weird hyperbole.
No,
obviously
Gen Alpha is literally 42 million. That's a statistical fact.
Plenty of people. That's a lot.
But you need 80 million per generation to sustain. Okay, Ian, if you have a child today, how many years until they're 18?
18 years.
Oh my God! So how will having kids today put workers in the workplace today? It won't. The system will collapse.
What workers are you looking to make right
We
now?
need to repeal child labor laws.
We
is
do
what we're
not
saying.
have enough 18-year-olds to enter the workforce.
I love Seamus. We need to repeal child labor laws. This is why he needs to be on the show more often, because that was a classic.
To provide low-skilled labor and to be the customer basis for the existing expansive infrastructure for a fractional reserve banking system that survives off of exponential growth through
Right.
debt. The system will collapse, period.
Right, and that is actually a super important point. If you don't have the next generation as consumers, everything stops. You don't have anybody to sell anything to. And then why have the jobs in the first place? And it all just stops. It's crazy. And I always think in the back of my mind, the Georgia Guidestones, they wanted to reduce the population down to a certain amount and all this kind of crazy stuff that was like the end world plan for these elites. And then we're like, we probably shouldn't have this up anymore. So then they went and sabotaged it and then destroyed it. So it's like, it's a little too in the open, but I still remember it, right?
If not,
buy more guns.
And that's the bottom line right there. Buy more guns. If you got guns, buy more ammo.
And ammunition, because that'll be the new currency.
Train.
Bottle caps.
How to shoot.
Bottle caps.
Bottle
The point
caps.
is this. The Ponzi scheme that was built in 1913 and in the years following it requires an ever-growing population that is impossible. The extraction of our wealth, Scott knows this, to fund wars overseas requires that you keep adding more people to the system because you're racking up debt and then shoveling more labor in it to produce more tax revenue to mask that you've extracted labor from the system without exchanging anything for it.
Here's a question.
It once again, it is a recipe of destruction. Because it's just getting worse for these young people at the same time. There's fewer of them. They're extracting more from them, offering way less.
The end result.
We've been looking at Revelation a lot, my wife and I just picture this Antichrist-like figure come in here and propose exactly what I've said to you. What has capitalism got? Where's capitalism gotten you to this point? And I don't like this, by the way. It's just kind of how my mind sees this path we're on. I'm looking ahead, and this is what I see. Especially knowing that the Antichrist is going to make things great for a little while. And I believe that once this person gets elected and implements communism, things are going to be awesome for a couple years. Maybe 3.5 years, right? Isn't that what it is in Revelation? 3.5 years, and then the next 3.5 years, everything turns to shit. It's just, I feel like it's been written. It's predicted that this is what it is, and our society is going to usher this in.
We don't have enough people, and the system explodes.
Well,
implodes.
is part of that needing more people also to send them to die? Why do they send all these people to die in wars? Is that intentionally to shave off the population?
The overall cap.
Just me says it's actually hilarious that Tim Pool's all worked up saying our country will collapse because we need more workers, when the last video was about how we'll all starve because we don't have enough jobs. Well, that's why I combined these two videos. I think there's a correlation between the two where the first one paints a picture of we're going to have fewer jobs. And then here Tim Pool is making the point that is valid that in order for our system to sustain, we need more workers. We need more people doing these jobs. And there's just, at some point, the robots that are functioning at these companies won't be worth the metal they're made of when there's no consumers, right? And then that's where, you know, you think, oh, well, the H-1Bs, the importation of you know, other countries to be these consumers, and then you just basically, which isn't even a fix, right? There's just really, I hate to be a black pill, but it just doesn't seem like there's really a fix for this. It's like, get as many credit cards as you can and rack up the charges, because you're probably not going to have to pay them off when the system collapses in the next, you know, whatever years, right? I don't do that, right? But you know what I mean? It's almost just like throw your hands up in the air and like, why am I trying so hard? Yeah, well, you're right about that, TNT. I don't think it's difficult. Just do what's right locally, and it will work on a larger scale. That's true. It's just there's too many people running too many business companies. We let everything get monopolized. It's probably why monopolies were illegal for so long and you know, stigmatized in a bad way. But now it's just like over my life, every phone company is merged into one. Every cable company is merged into one. You know what I mean? And then they're combining now internet with cable and just the whole thing. The fix is sex, lots of it, with the wife or husband. Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing about it. Half the people want to be gay or trans nowadays. I mean, and then you got all the crazy stuff in the food and big pharma and the lack of reproduction and just everything is just, yeah, allegedly, this is not financial advice. Yeah, exactly. I'm not telling you guys to go do that, but it just makes you feel like, where's the light at the end of the tunnel, you know? When we watch that first, you see that first video, and then you see this, but the light at the end of the tunnel actually could be Trump. The tariffs, with the drop of inflation, with the plan to build within the country and create jobs. The next step is to reform the education system and make it to where sending your kids to school actually has value. I mean, I've been a proponent for homeschooling your kid for years now, but I could change that if the public education system actually becomes worthwhile. They change their tune. They teach people how to write cursive again. They teach people how to do proper math. They get rid of all these woke, stupid ass teachers that are focused on not valuable things for the growth of a young person's mind, right?
Casualties are in the thousands. I mean, there's 7,000 American GIs died in Iraq and Afghanistan combined.
Okay, that's not.
You can add another 30,000 suicides, but statistically compared to the population of the country, that's not going to hurt your overall.
Okay, let me explain it. 10 people are sitting around and they each exchange an apple with each other, or a copper coin. And they all do it. Let's simplify to 2 people. You and I, Ian. I grow wheat. You turn it into bread. You give me bread. I give you more wheat. You take a little bit of the extra bread for yourself. I take the bread to eat it and grow the wheat and give it to you. That's our economy. Eventually, we add multiple layers to this. Now there's a guy who does the milling, and we say, well, hold on. How do we keep track of this? Money. So I say, I'll give you this coin, and you trade it with him, so that proves you did the work. He'll trade it with me, so it proves I did the work. And then we can simplify the exchange so we can all keep eating. Along comes Scott, the fractional reserve banking system, and he says, let me be in charge of the money. Trust me. Then, instead of doing any work, he just makes another coin and then goes to me and takes my wheat from me. Then you come and say, where's the wheat? I'll say, I sold it. What? To who? How? No one did any labor. He sold it off to China. Now we're all like, we have no wheat, we have no trade anymore. He disrupted our economy.
Where's the revolution
Wow.
against the central banking system?
It's coming with Zoomer-Waffen and the commies.
Well, can we do it in a less direct?
Okay, so he mentioned Zoomer-Waffen. I had to look that up. Zoomers are let's see here. Zoomer is a nickname for members of Generation Z, and Waffen is a reference to the Waffen SS, the armed wing of the Nazi Party's parliamentary organization, known for its role in Holocaust and atrocities during World War II. The name has been adopted by online neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups, particularly on platforms like Telegram, to signify a younger generation embracing extremist ideologies, which goes directly in line with what I said earlier, that somebody's going to propose that communism or that capitalism has failed you. And you have these extreme young people from, these same beliefs. One proponent example, Zoomer Waffen, which has been linked to the dissemination of anti-Semitic, racist, and violent content, including Holocaust denial, calls for radical war, a racial war, glorification of Germany, like far-right extremism targeting younger internet users. Like, it's just interesting. That's what Zoomer Waffen is.
Oh. Look, the reality is, and look, let me be clear for young people watching this. The communists and the far right, they don't know anything about central banking. It's the libertarians, the Austrian school economists, Ludwig von Mises and Murray Rothbard, the guys at the Mises Institute and Libertarian Institute and related organizations. George Mason University has some good people. They're the ones who understand hard money. And what real capitalism is about. And it's such a lie. And I think it's one of the most dangerous things going on in the country right now is that all young people are told, this is capitalism, it's late stage capitalism, blah, blah. Well, then what's the opposite of that? They think it must be socialism. I guess if this is private property, then I guess we want the government to own everything, which is the most idiotic goddamn thing in the world. But to them, that's the binary choice that they're making.
In any crisis, reason will be the first casualty.
Yep.
So read
Mises now.
When this system breaks down and the libertarians go to the right and the left and say, guys, we can solve this economic issue in a matter of 5 to 10 years if we do this, the left screams off with his head and the right screams...
Go back to Reddit.
Well, no, the right screams like build our communities and isolate and get away from these guys. So you'll offer the solution. The people on the right are going to be like, we've heard enough from the politicians. We're going to go take care of ourselves. Your system be damned. The left is going to say, chop his head off. Yep. So there's not going to be a reasoned debate. They're going to say, I'm hungry and I don't care. Yep. And what we're seeing right now is the macro consequences of economic failure in New York and Seattle. For example, Ian, what do you think would happen if there are two houses in the middle of nowhere? There's a man and a woman who lives in one house, and they have a bunch of food, and there's a man and a woman with 3 children in the other house with no food, and they're completely isolated by, like, I don't know, an earthquake happens and they can't escape. What do you think happens?
If they're near each other, but no one else can get they're stuck? Well, they'd probably come together first and be like, are you okay? We don't have any food.
I said one house has food.
They could speak the same language.
One house has food and a man and a woman. One house has a man and a woman and 3 kids and no food.
They would probably come together to 7 people and then be like, hey, there's 7 of us. Can we make this work?
Yeah, there's no way to grow food. So the likely scenario is going to be the man goes to their house and puts a bullet in the head of the man and the woman and says, I'm sorry, my children need to eat.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to live in the jungle, I mean,
that's how it always is.
No,
that's how it devolves down to.
It's if you want to live. Because if you got kids,
as we have seen,
if there's an earthquake, you don't go shoot your neighbor. What are you talking about?
He's talking about total systemic collapse, not like an earthquake.
I literally said you're isolated by earthquake from anyone else, and there's 2 houses next to each other.
What happens? Don't go shoot your neighbor.
We're not saying it's a good legal strategy.
No. Ian's making a really great example of the folly of modern man. So isolated from the realities of history in the world.
I know
he's like, this wouldn't. No, I'm talking about a millennia of history of this planet and what humans have done when their children starve, and it's not for debate.
You eat your wife?
In all throughout history.
You eat your wife when the food runs out?
Welcome to the Donner Party.
Ian, if it's between eating your wife and going after...
What's that movie? Guys, if I die first, eat me. It's like, hey, you guys got any more Phil? Pass the Phil.
Your neighbor,
Tim, would you eat your wife if the food ran out?
Ian, men die first. God, Ian, you have no idea what you're talking about, okay? Men die first because of high caloric needs and high muscle mass, and women have lower caloric needs. They're smaller, and they have more fat. So the men die first, and the women eat the men. Don't you know anything? That's literally true.
Well, okay,
in the Donner Party,
the men die first, the women eat the men. Gosh, duh.
The men all died because they had higher caloric needs, and the women are the ones who ate the body. However, several in the Donner Party refused to cannibalize, and they starved to death themselves and then got eaten. The point is this. In every single example of human history, men will massacre to save their children. There's no question about it.
Remember the other day?
Some will not, and they will be food, and they will be... What's the saying? To all the people who don't buy guns, thank you for collecting food for me after the apocalypse happens.
Exactly.
That's the argument. The point is this. That is the micro. That is history. You can look at any period in history and watch what happens when there is no food. People will kill and steal and take what they have to.
And it doesn't take very long for society to
evolve. It's not always easy,
devolve.
and sometimes everybody starves. That being said, why do they do it? because a man will not watch his children starve to death. He won't do it. And he will do whatever he has to do to save them. So what happens in the macro? Right now in New York and Seattle, they're doing politically the same thing. The politician comes to them and says, you don't have what you want. You can't afford a house. You struggle to buy food and you're putting on credit cards. I will steal it from other people to give to you, and they clap and cheer for it. That only works for a short period of time. Already in New York, the middle income people are fleeing the city. Where I think the exodus is already, it's like 40-something thousand people have estimated to have left already. And in the past few years, 600,000 people have left New York City. Wait, Mamdani is saying, I'm going to tax people to pay for you. And so those people said, later, what happens then? You can only function in a deficit system for so long. If they are extracting the resources from those who work and distributing among those who don't, eventually no one is producing anything and the system implodes. The same is true for as you describe it. A man can only steal so much food for his children before he has to eat his own family or die.
But wait, are we kind of conflating, on one hand, like the question of the coming economic crash that's coming one way or the other versus full communism and Mao Zedong starves everybody to death and we all eat each other and getting hit by a giant solar flare that knocks out all electricity? Because I'm not sure that we all got to eat each other just after the next crash, because we've had crashes and then we generate another bubble and have another crash.
What I'm saying is,
I just want the origin scenario.
So don't take it too far. My point is, in history, in the micro, the individual level, humans have killed other people to take with their families.
But
I'm saying
America is a very wealthy
My point
place,
is, right now in New York City, they're not murdering each other. They're
But what you do, Captain, is in this scenario, all of a sudden you develop AIDS and herpes, and then nobody wants to eat you, right? Tainted meat. You guys watch Walking Dead, where the guy he gets bit by the zombie, and then the cannibals capture him and they cut his leg off and eat it, and they actually feed it to him, and he doesn't know about it. And then he starts laughing once he realizes that they're all eating his leg, and he's like, tainted meat, tainted meat.
voting to take money from the wealthy. It is the same function, just in the macro.
Well, and I agree with you that, like, if they keep going that way, it'll just be a ghost town and everyone will just move somewhere else where they can, actually earn a living and keep it and all that. So don't get me wrong, things can get bad, but I'm saying, I mean, basically, even if you think about like the crash of 2008, there's trillions of dollars were destroyed. It was a absolute catastrophe. And yet still, as Robert Higgs, the great economist, instructed me at the time, you look at the United States of America, we got a lot of highways, we got a lot of factories, we got a lot of trucks, we got a lot of warehouses, we got a lot of guys with strength and skill, and we have universities full of engineers.
Our universities are going out of business.
You know, and Scott Horton is surprisingly way more positive than I anticipated him to be in this. You know, I've kind of figured, he'd be like, yeah, society's going to collapse and this and that. We're all doomed. Much more positive than I anticipated, to be honest with you. And Dan McKnight actually gave Scott Horton some praise whenever he came on the show, said to read his book, which I actually did buy the book on Audible. I'm yet to read it yet.
Not
well,
Rice. Rice is
the
popping right now.
communist half of them are, but the engineering schools are closing down. I hadn't heard that.
Yes, because there's no 18-year-olds to go to them. So we've seen a wave of prominent centuries-old universities closing because there's no young people. Again, Gen Alpha is Ian. You went to a single university.
Yeah, Rice.
Yes, congratulations. Anecdote is the plural of anecdote is not data.
It's young people at a university.
Remind you of my father. What an asshole.
The plural of anecdote is not data.
But you just said there are no young people going to universities.
It is a figure of speech, Ian. Are you daft?
If you want to use hyperbole, then
it is not hyperbole. It's called a generality. When the young generation is half the size of the previous, universities who require 18-year-old entrants don't have them. They go out of business. If no one is around to buy lunch, your grocery store goes out of business.
And frankly, I think a lot of these universities need to go out of business. It's turned into a business. Like, it's not about education anymore. It's all about making money. I'd be fine with a lot of these universities going out of business.
There used to be a restaurant down the street, out of business. Why? Nobody was shopping there. So when you have 40 million Gen Alpha, the incoming universities in the next 2 years will see a 50% shortfall in admissions. Who's going to pay their tuitions? They're going to start shutting down rapidly.
I think that's reasonable.
And this is an important, I recommend you guys watch Birth Gap documentary on YouTube. It's free. No society has ever recovered from this level of a birth rate.
Bro,
Birth Gap documentary on YouTube. You know what? I'm curious now. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down real quick. Sorry, guys. All right. Simple I watch Tim Pool just in hopes when it happens to get to watch him beat Ian up live. That's funny. And I feel like Phil, it seems like Phil always has a bone to pick with Ian. So a lot of times when Ian says something dumb, Phil is just like, oh, and then just like unloads on him. Like he just has this pent up like hatred or dislike or disdain for Ian. It's kind of entertaining to watch. Once you see it once, you recognize it over and over again.
Not one time.
I was raised Catholic. I don't need a documentary.
So is that going to be the next video in the lineup? Maybe I'll watch it and see if it's worth watching with the group for sure. I'll try to check it out probably either later on tonight, depending on how long it is. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow in the afternoon and see. But yeah, what do you guys think about this new kind of format that I'm doing, where we watch stuff and kind of react rather than just read articles and whatever? I kind of like mixing the two together. But I got a good response yesterday. Yesterday's video had like almost 700 views and gained 3 subs, and it's like, maybe I stumbled onto something there. As long as you guys enjoy it, I don't want to chase you guys off, because I like the community that we've built here. Phil almost beat up Alex Stein. That was awesome. I haven't seen that one. Now we're gonna continue. I think we got about like 6 minutes left of this one, but we're on fast speed. Where before they change the subject.
Tell me that. Like my whole childhood, my parents were sounding the alarm on this stuff.
Like
listen, we're a
format? Okay,
contraceptive
cool.
society. People aren't having children. Eventually, that has a fallout. Eventually, you can't run the economy. Eventually, nothing is able to be produced.
Is there one particular cause that you focus on that like seems to be the major cause of the decline in birth rates and all that?
So the interesting thing,
I'm just going to blame inflation again.
Watch this documentary. It's actually not a decline in family size proportionate to families. People who have families have the same amount of kids proportionate to each other as they always have throughout all of history. Is
that true?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
But what's happened is there's a massive explosion of childless women.
But I thought but wasn't the average number of
the fart prank guy? I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'm always down for a good fart prank. Totally off subject, but since you brought it up, Captain, my Tesla has an app, right? And there's a button I can push, and it makes a fart sound come from like one of the speakers, like there's speakers in the tires or something, and it totally farts like really loud. And I've been trying to use it in opportunities, like where I went to Zaxby's the other day, and they made me wait. They're like, pull over there in the slot 1, and Eric Swalwell. And we'll bring your food. And then the car came in next to me, and the guy came out and like handed them their food first, which was fine. I get sometimes it just happens. And I couldn't figure it out fast enough, but I wanted to make the car fart while that guy was right there delivering the food to the people next to me. I thought that would have been hilarious. I was doing it at my friend's house the other day when I went and helped him out with some construction stuff. And he was like, stop, because his neighbors were outside. I kept pushing it, and every fart sounds different. Oh, it's great. I love it. And also, it makes it to where you can, like, when you're in the car, you can make the fart come from, like, the right speaker, so, like, the passenger did it. It's good. I love a good fart prank. It's like a whoopee cushion without having to put the whoopee cushion down. Anyways.
Children in a family in the 60s significantly higher?
It's the same. Watch the birth gap documentary. It's brilliant. They point out that families relative to each other, the birth rate is the exact same. It's just that in recent history, there's been an explosion of childless women.
Feminism.
Yep. Listen, and granted, I'll give you this is anecdotal. I can only give you my own experience without having the data. But when you talk to, like when I talk to my parents, when I talk to my friends' parents, they'll all tell you families with 6 kids were very common at that time. They're not anymore. My mom came from 6. My dad came from 5. Almost no one I grew up with had that.
I recommend you look at the data.
I will.
Family size in the 1960s was 3.67. In 2022, the average family size had decreased to.
I forgot she was there.
And here's the problem with that data, which confused everybody, which is why I recommend watching Birth Gap. That's averaging single women along with families.
Interesting.
Or that's averaging like.
Is it?
Yes.
Just saying it is saying average family size.
And so that's.
But that's after they've paired up.
So
that's not including.
I recommend watching the documentary and going through their data, and maybe it's wrong. Maybe this documentary is incorrect, and I'm citing bad data. The point they made is we have seen an explosion of childless women, which has skewed the fertility rate lower than it used to be. But the percentage of people who had 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 kids relative to each other has always stayed the same.
And you know the other factor to that is we're seeing more and more women struggle with fertility nowadays as well. So we have whatever to think, whether that be whether that be the food, the medication, the medications that are in the water that aren't filtered out properly, all the above combined. A single woman is a family. I would think so, yeah. I'm just not sure how they were tracking the data, I think is what he's saying there. But yeah, you're right.
So by all means, that could mean theoretically family size is smaller. It means if you have a family of 2, they're going to make up 20% of families. A family of 3 is going to make up 40%. A family of 5 plus is going to make up 6% of families. The problem now is you have an explosion of childless women. There's no recovering from it because it creates an economic death spiral. So I've explained this before. Let me explain it again. If you have for Ian, I'll explain it. You have a town of 100 people and one grocery store. That grocery store makes a 3% margin on all of its sales and says things are going great. Everybody lives there, goes to old Ian's grocery store, and they have all of their needs met. One day, there's oil is found. And this company comes in and says, we need to bring in 100 new people to get this oil out of the ground. So they build a bunch of houses, hire 100 people, and now the town has 200 people. Guess what? 200 people, that's too many people for one grocery store, so a second grocery store pops up on the other side of town. There's now 2 grocery stores, both with a 3% margin. 20 years later, the oil is dried up, the company leaves. Now, there's no job for half of the people who are working in the oil industry, so they leave as well. You now have 100 people and 2 grocery stores. The newest grocery store that opened for the oil company doesn't simply go, guess we'll go out of business. They say, we got to take on debt to stay open because we're having hard times. What happens then is, instead of the 100 people going back to the original grocery store, they split their business between the 2 of them. Both of them now drop down below 100%. They're no longer at a 3% above board. They're now in the red and slowly piling on debt and going out of business. 2 years of this, they can't pay back their lenders. They both go out of business, and now the original 100 people no longer have a grocery store.
Or they merge and one buys the other.
But that's typically not what happens in these economies. Typically what happens is they compete with each other, and one will take on debt and say, we're going to weather through this. At the macro level, what we're seeing, you can't easily track why it is your sales are going down in this way. We've got 4 sweet frogs in 20 miles of us right now. How many do you really need? I can drive 20 minutes to go to any one of these places, but they can sustain this amount of people. If half the people leave, the Winchester Sweet Frog and the Martinsburg aren't going to decide they're going out of business. They're going to be like, screw you, you go out of business. I'm not shutting down. I'm going to lower my prices. I'm going to put water in my yogurt. I'm going to do whatever I can to attract people so I don't lose my living. This is what happens now. Compare that same phenomenon to the birth rates. You need a certain requirement of people to sustain your grocery stores, your railroads, your roads, and you don't have them, so everything starts breaking down. Now, people can't afford to eat. They can't afford houses. Nobody's building houses. Guess what? Can't afford a house, can't have a family, can't have kids. So what happens? You don't have kids. So what happens? The birth rate goes down even further, and it's a death spiral until it resets.
Well, consolidation, I think, is the likely outcome of those scenarios as you get megacorps.
You want to hear?
Right, and the reset that my friend was referring to was the leaning house and just letting it fall over rather than trying to fix it. And it's a scary thought that there's a lot of young people on this earth right now. Like I said, he's a dude that has a 1-year-old baby, and 31 years old, and that's the way they're thinking, right? You look at all the people, the Groypers, the people that are following Nick Fuentes, and the things that they appear to be into. Man. I'm reading what you said. I'm not going to repeat it. Yeah, that's just that. Honestly, TNT, that really just pisses me off. It pisses me off so much. Because I know somebody that's dealing with some of that type of stuff, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but yeah, it's pretty close in my life on a few different levels, that type of stuff, and it's infuriating to think that, you know, outside sources might have dictated that situation onto people who I care about.
A fun story. I don't know if this is true or not, but the rumor was in Detroit, the police were going around setting fire to houses, burning them down, because there were so many neighborhoods that had collapsed and been abandoned that they didn't. It was worse to have the rotting and collapsing infrastructure, so they just lit them up and let them burn. I don't know if that's true, but those are the rumors we were hearing.
I know they were definitely bulldozing entire neighborhoods in Detroit.
Need one more on Rumble to do a little ad read if you guys don't mind.
Gary's crazy.
Hitting that like button.
They're like, I went to Gary, and there's like a single house that's normal looking, surrounded by all collapsed abandoned homes. And the rumor we often heard from the people who lived outside of Detroit was a house would burn down in the middle of the night for no reason, and the people thought it was the cops doing it. It was the city intentionally saying, we need to destroy as much of this as we can and let it crumble and collapse.
I think consolidation makes sense in the situations where the grocery stores end up buying up. The richest guy buys all the grocery stores.
Interesting concept of what after what my friend said as well, right? Intentional, and also when you relate that to situations when all the jobs are replaced, it's going to be more than the leaning houses that fall down and collapse, right? Come on, just me. Party's over here. Yeah.
But then how do you get out of that system once that starts to take over?
Parker's outside the door saying,
It is extremely easy
9.
to expand a system. It's extremely difficult to retract the system. So the other example is Detroit's water, for instance. For those that don't know the story, I've told it a million times. I'll tell it again for you, Ian. As time goes on and more people move to Detroit, it's a boom town with the auto industry. They have to expand the plumbing system and the reclamation to be able to service more water to more people. Eventually, they have 1 million people, so they need a water system that can supply enough homes to 1 million people who live in these homes. Then people start leaving. But the cost of that infrastructure remains fixed because it's built to service 1 million people. It would be kind of like, Ian, if you and 10 of your buddies all decided to rent together a mansion with 10 bedrooms, and everyone said, we'll each put in $1,000 and that'll cover the $10,000 rent. And then a month later, 9 of your buddies leave and it's just you, and now you got to spend 10 grand to pay rent and you can't. So what happens? It starts falling apart, it's getting dirty, and you leave. This is what happened in Detroit. Because people were fleeing the city, the fixed water cost stayed, but the distribution of that cost among the people became more intensive for the individual. So if it was $100 a month for
So all this ends up being more of a burden on the individual family as well. It's crazy. It's just a snowball effect that eventually just nobody can afford. It's so disappointing. So real quick, Brooke Burke, a fixture in the entertainment and wellness industries for decades, known for her roles in Dancing with the Stars and Wild On, is not one to shy away from the spotlight. But shortly after she turned 50, despite her expertise, the fitness icon suddenly found herself battling a body that seemed to be working against her. Now Brooke is opening up publicly about her experience because it's won millions. Because it's won millions of women unexplained weight gain, muscle loss, and declining energy, and she's revealing how she discovered one thing that made her leaner, stronger, and healthier than ever. She says today at 53, she feels amazing and her abs are tighter today than they were 10 years ago. What changed for her was that she began biohacking and discovered that she needed more protein, but not just any protein, one specific protein, which was a total game changer. And when she found it, she says it was like uncovering a secret weapon for weight management and muscle gain. Everything changed. I'm leaner and stronger than I've ever been my whole life, she said. She's sharing this with the world to both women and men. Can learn all about revolutionary protein. Click the link in chat or scan the QR code on the screen to watch. You know, that's funny. Once again, I tried to click a different ad and it gave me that one. And that one, you know, it's worded a little off. I tried to fix it. Hopefully they still count that one. But I appreciate you guys for doing that. Thanks for getting up to 10 viewers over there on Rumble. Make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, back to the video here. We're about to wrap up. We got like a few minutes left of this, and I wanted to share one more thing with you, and then we'll get out of here.
Water, but half the population left, it jumped to $200, making it the most expensive water in the in the country. So in Flint, they said, why are we paying for expensive Detroit water when we have the Flint River? So they switched to the Flint River to lower their costs, but the river was acidic, disgusting, had legionnaires. It started to leach lead pipes and poison a bunch of people. This cannot be stopped. There's no circumstance in which people say, hey, our economy is retracting. It's receding massively. So let's hire people to go and break down the water system to make it cheaper. That's an expense. That's an additional cost nobody wants to make.
Well, it's a government program you're describing too, not business.
Well, the idea being, even whether it was private or otherwise, if you've got a massive water system that is too expensive, you're how about this? Your transmission bust on your car. You're like, it's more expensive to fix the transmission. I'll just buy a used car. That's exactly the issue. People say it's cheaper to leave than to deal with the problem. It is, and anybody who runs a business knows this. It's really easy to hire somebody. It's really hard to fire somebody.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Like when someone's doing a specific job and they have a function, it is, and that's, I'm sure you'd appreciate as a libertarian, one of the big capitalist myths. Listen, obviously, when you have a big faceless corporation, it is common. It does happen. I'm not pretending it doesn't exist for an employer to abuse their employee because they can't go somewhere else. But the reality is, like, especially with small businesses, you don't want to let people go. Like, A, you know them, you develop friendships with them, but B, people are important. They do important jobs. When someone becomes an essential part of your company infrastructure, it's hard. It is difficult to replace them.
I want to pull up this post, my friends, from Kalshi.com. Yo, check this out. Will Trump be impeached? Now, there was a big spike a moment ago.
Okay, so that's pretty much the end of that conversation. He actually goes on there to talk about Trump and what he said about the H-1Bs, and then he gets into the Epstein stuff. But we know that's kind of old news now because the House has voted and the Senate both have voted to release the DOJ files on Jeffrey Epstein. And we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll look forward to it and see what comes from it. But I'm not actually really... I don't have a whole lot of high hopes after the amount of time in the hands that it's been in that we're going to get anything really, truly tangible. But I do have this video that I want to share with you guys from Super Trucker, our friend Super Trucker. He's been on the show with maybe Danielle. This is a clip of Tucker Carlson ripping Ben Shapiro, a new a-hole, on the issue of automated trucks, putting millions of people out of work, and has been living in my head rent-free for the last 7 years. So this is an older video, I assume, because of that. But
the question is,
with automation, with the H-1Bs coming over, taking the trucker jobs, I feel like there's a little bit of relevance here.
Is when the pedal hits the metal. Like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker?
Actually, you know, before I'm going to restart this, but TNT had a good point, and I was wondering about that. Federal government paid Flint to replace their water pipes, and they chose to build a world-class football stadium for the high school instead. Bad leaders. Bad leaders. It's crazy, man. But okay.
The question is, when the pedal hits the metal, like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions on the ability of trucking companies to use this sort of technology specifically to, sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry?
Are you joking? In a second. In a second. In other words, if I were president, when I say to DOT, to Department of Transportation, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period. Why? Really simple. Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country, in all 50 states. By the way, that's the same group whose wages have gone down by 11% over the past 30 years. The social cost of eliminating their jobs in a 10-year span, 5-year span, 30-year span is so high that it's not sustainable. So the greater good is protecting your citizens from, look, capitalism is the best economic system I can think of, I think that anyone's ever thought of. But that doesn't mean that it's a religion and everything about it is good.
No, but
there's no Nicene Creed of capitalism that I have to buy into. What I care about is living in a country where, decent people can live happy lives, actually. And so, no, I would say immediately, no, are you joking? And I maybe would make up some pretext for public consumption, like, oh, they're dangerous. The technology is not quite finessed. No. But the truth would be, I don't want to put 10 million men out of work because you're going to have 10 million dead families, and the cascading effect from that will wreck your country.
Boom. That's just the trucking industry. But he said, obviously it's a significant amount of workers that are, that particular age. And it's just bit by bit, chunk by chunk, opportunities for young people. And this is over years. So, I say young people, but this goes all the way up to Gen X. At least in my opinion. These opportunities have dried up. And, owning a Tesla, I see how the autonomous driving is being pushed forward. I see how AI is being pushed forward with Grok, with everything that everybody's doing. People are getting so stupid that they just use, they're being trained like students to use AI. They can fool other AI detectors that they used AI. Like when I went to school, it was funny. They didn't let us use calculators on math because they told us, what are you going to do? Walk around with a calculator in your pocket? And turns out we all got cell phones with calculators in our pockets. But they at least made us learn the numbers and how math works, right? Nowadays, it's just everything is so easily accessible. Just the general intelligence is lacking. And then you have people just corporate greed, which, I sound like a Democrat. But I don't like corporate greed when it replaces the American worker at the rate that they are, and it cuts opportunities, and it basically puts us in these situations where young people have no hope. They might as well live at home in their parents' basement for the rest of their life, not even care about having a family. Eventually, they'll be buying sex robots that'll replace their sex life with the addition of, the adult film industry, and everybody's going to die alone with no legacy in the pod, eating the bugs. They'll go away quietly. TNT, you're the only person that's commenting that I'm seeing. Oh, there's Captain. Artificially replacing men is the issue. Yeah. It's about quality comments. So yeah,
The question is...
Good old Ben Shapiro. Things get... Super Trucker commented, said things get automated to make things cheaper. Currently, automating a truck is more expensive than having meat in the seats. You know. The only thing he was somebody says Tucker's wrong on this one, and Super Trucker says the only thing he was wrong about was truck driver wages falling by 11%. Wages today are half of what they were in the 80s, in 1980. So it's not 11%; it's half of what they were. And that dollar goes a zenth of the way that it went back then, right? As we said earlier, as Asman Goldwater did there used to be a retard that would turn a bolt that would make the equivalent of $75 an hour that could raise his family and have a kid and have a house and a wife that didn't work. That's just out of the window now. If you want to get ahead, if you want to survive, you almost have to have as a requirement to have kids, both parents working. What else do I got here on this topic? I think I got one more thing. Oh yeah, the other thing I talked about earlier. A lot of these people are resorting to they got college diplomas, they got degrees, but yet they're resorting to Uber to pay their bills and their student loans and to survive. But even that's going to get taken away. I got this right here. Sawyer Merritt posted, breaking: Tesla has officially received approval from the Arizona Department of Transportation to launch its robo-taxi service on public roads in the state. These are non-driver. These are driverless taxis. So all you're going to need is the piece of equipment to do the job and no humans. The humans in this situation will be the ones that are repairing the cars. And they make these electronic vehicles to go to outlast. There's no engine that breaks down. You do have some situations, but anomalies in replacement of tires. But there probably is going to be a before long, if there isn't yet, a machine that replaces the tires. So he says he just confirmed directly with the Arizona DOP that Tesla applied for a transportation network company permit on November 13th. Tesla met with the requirements to operate as a TNC and is permitted as of November 17th. So this has started yesterday. Tesla can now legally run a paid autonomous ride-hailing service in Arizona. The Arizona TNC permit is not permitted to a specific city, so it's across the entire state. And that's, they had Waymos. We learned about the Waymos during the No Kings protest when they were destroying the Waymos and lighting them on fire, the autonomous cars. It's not just Tesla. So just slowly but surely, all these jobs are going to dry up and just become humanless. That's crazy, man. And then, then I'd had this as well. This is from Fox News. News: Saudi Crown Prince announces country's investment in the United States could reach $1 trillion.
But today it's a very important time in our history because there is also a lot of things that we're working in the future. We believe in the future of the United States of America. We believe in what you're doing, Mr. President. It's really creating a lot of good things and good foundation to create more economic growth, more business in America. And it will also your work for the world peace. I believe, Mr. President, today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many
100%
areas,
TNT.
in technology, in AI, in earth materials,
AI,
in today in many areas in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc. That will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the 600 billion will be 1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that, and we
I like
will
that
build
very
on it.
Go ahead.
So, Trump on the spot, getting him to commit, nearly double his investment. But here, let's just ask Grok real fast. How do I want to word this? What is this investment going into? When I did this search earlier, AI was at the very top. But yeah, you're right, TNT. You can't blame the company for wanting to do it. We just need to make laws that ban it, right? Now, granted, I do like the autonomous car. It's nice, especially for somebody that's aging. My eyesight's going out. I want to be able to travel safely when I choose to and stuff like that. I think it's cool. It has it's a very, very useful tool. But when they start implementing it to replace people, and then, this is just the taxi service. Wait till this same technology is just put into a semi-truck. And like what Tucker Carlson was saying, replaces the truck drivers. LOL, it's illegal to touch a crown prince. Trump slaps him on the leg. He's like, you're in my home. Slap him on the leg. It's funny. I was wondering about that, actually. I think Trump knows. He trolls. He's just the ultimate troll. Let's see here. So the Fox News X posting link from November 18th features a video clip of President Trump in a discussion with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. MBS states the Saudi Arabia's investment in the United States, previously around $600 billion, could reach up to $1 trillion, with Trump reaching positively saying, okay, we heard that. So this is not a new $1 trillion committed being announced on the spot. What types of things does this refer to? Saudi investments in the U.S. are extremely diverse and already massive, hundreds of billions in date. The $1 trillion headline figure is aspirational looking, but the forward-looking, but the existing $600-800 billion portfolio gives a clear picture of where the money typically goes. The very first one on the list, tech and AI, Lucid Motors, electric vehicles. Can I scroll to the right? Okay. Electric vehicles, Uber, Magic Leap, Slack, large stakes in tech via Vision Fund, a partnership, tens of billions of dollars. The second thing on here is defense and aerospace, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. Okay, I dig that. Energy and infrastructure, which we need, but part of the energy and infrastructure goes towards building AI. All of these campuses, these AI campuses, literally have their own, what's it called, power plants on them, because they use up mad power, massive amounts of power. Real estate and hospitality, financial assets, entertainment and sports. But like I said, this is partially an investment, and namely at the top of the list, which is typically the highest spent or the most important or prevailing one, is tech and AI. And that very AI could be, a contributing factor in the decline of our republic, of our capitalist system. I don't know. This could be a huge hot take, but my main takeaway from this that just came to my head was, like I've said a couple times, I envision a person that's kind of similar to what's described in Revelation in the Bible. A person that's loved is going to come in here, it's going to fix everything, make everything great. And for somebody to do that, the situation has to be really, really bad, right? They're not going to make something that's great, awesome. You know what I mean? They're going to fix a dire situation. And when it comes to that, I think this could present the situation where an antichrist would actually be able to rise and fix stuff, and it's not going to be with capitalism, in my opinion, right? And so, something to keep an eye on. All that stuff. Okay. Not a fan of them owning land here, though. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Not a fan of that at all. I don't trust the Muslims a whole lot. I assume that's what they got going on, what he's got going on. But anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. On that note, let me did I minimize the song again? Oh, I did. That's right. I closed it because I played the that intro that I played wasn't the right one that I thought it was. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to do an outro song tonight. Let me see if I can pull it up and get it to actually stage. All right, yeah, it's gonna let me tonight. The OBS is fickle sometimes. Captain says perhaps we should study the weakness of AI so we may survive by destroying it. Right, exactly. And I think that's kind of what you know the other part of this is going to lead us to, which is why I look at the Terminator movies and the Matrix movies and the battle of machines versus humans, and I don't know. I'm not saying that those are predicting anything, but it's a view into maybe what we might be headed towards, you know. And like I said, once it gets so bad, you're gonna have these people that decide like the only way that we can continue our way of life or make life better is to take out the AI, is to take out the technological advancements that we have, so that we have opportunities to work again. You know what I mean? We want our jobs back, this, and that. And, you know, it's kind of to what you're saying there, Willie Graham. And I don't, you know, of course, because I'm on YouTube and stuff, I don't condone the violence or anything like that. I just say that I could see a future where the situation would actually lead to that point from some folks. You know what I mean? Just desperate people, desperate times call for desperate measures. And that's certainly what the scenario would be in this case if nobody had a job because AI and robots took it over. And of course, the ones that implemented the powerful people that are, you know, living on the high side of life are going to use the robots that they built to defend the complexes that they've built. So once again, the Terminator reference, the Matrix reference, it's not going to be the same type of civil war that we've seen. It'll be humans versus robot, man versus machine type scenario, potentially. I don't even buy into the concept of paying off one side to fight the other side or anything like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit different. We didn't go down through like the news as much, but I had fun. It was something that's been weighing on my mind to kind of just talk to people. I wish we had more folks that would have seen it, but you know, I still like sharing it with you guys because I have a lot of fun doing that. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. I'm gonna look into this birth gap documentary that Tim Pool was referring to. If it's good, it's not super long. We'll probably watch it tomorrow. Otherwise, we got a lot to talk about with the House and Senate both passing the Epstein file things, and I assume Trump tonight is going to sign it. If he hasn't yet already, I don't know what's been going on during the show, but if he hasn't yet tonight, I anticipate that it'll be signed, you know, first thing tomorrow, that type of scenario, and then we'll see. How long will it take for them to drop the documents? What's going to be in it? We might be in for a wild ride, but whatever it is, I'm here for it. I'll be here to relay the news to you guys. We'll talk about it, and I just want to once again say thank you to TNT for the $10 in Rumble rants tonight. I want to thank all the members on YouTube and on Rumble. Shout out to folks over watching on X, and just remind folks I'm live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 7. And that's 7 Eastern. So I will be back tomorrow. And yeah, I just appreciate everybody for being here, spending all this time with me. Yeah, appreciate you, Ricky. You guys have a good night. And well, I quit doing this on accident the other day. I forgot, and I almost forgot again tonight. Let's do the verse of the day from the YouVersion Bible app, which is Mark 10:14. This is the NIV interpretation. But when Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." You know, the innocent, let the innocent stay innocent, in my opinion. But yeah, don't know if that's the actual interpretation, but that would be the verse of the day from the YouVersion Bible app. I lost my streak, but I'm back up to 5 days again. And so anyways, you guys have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.
Fire in the jar, yeah, the fuse is TNT. Blowing up the lies, bringing truth to the street. JD storms rolling, thunder in the sky. The captain steers steady, keeping freedom alive. It's the Joe Benos podcast. Turn it up loud, the signal's gonna last. Is it just me, or are we putting it on blast? From shadows to spotlight, we're calling the play name by name, but we're louder this way. King is here now, so we can start the show. If you're short on dirty money, put it on Jamie's tab. Go when a troll slips in the chat, we ask, Steve, is that you? Don't spam the chat, or Chris will give you the loop. It's the Joe Rogan's podcast. Turn it up loud, the signal's gonna last. Is it just me, or are we putting it on blast? From shadows to spotlight, we're calling the play name by name, but we're louder this way. Earl's daughter speaks to truth, Bill shows no fear. We give up the crown when Andrea gets here. Elmo did it for a Klondike bar, now everybody knows his name. Cool Vic laughing, Ricky sparks a flame, Ruth lights the candle steady. Nate fans embers bright, Dan McKnight holds the line, Tyler calls the game tonight.